Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. Hey, everybody, welcome to Weapons of Social Seduction. I'm your host for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, David Snyder. Welcome to the wonderful and amazing world that is Planet David. And it's not just because I'm here, it's because it's filled with amazing people like you. I want to thank you all for coming out. I know things are crazy this time of year, what with the entire year that we've had, and it being that super hectic time of year where you're kind of torn between frantically running around trying to get all this stuff done and wanting to just kick back and not do a frickin' thing. Anybody here kind of in that place right now? If you're in that place, kind of just type your name in the chat and say, "Yay, buddy!" Right? This is going to be our last official webinar and class on weapons of social seduction for 2020. So, with your help and a little bit of administrative stuff out of the way, I'd like to make it as cool and fun as humanly possible. That being said, we do have some administrative stuff and some basic pre-launch things that we need to go over, as is our particular tradition, if there is such a thing. First and foremost, if I should just start off by saying, first of all, welcome to our YouTubers. We are streaming this to YouTube Live. Some people were asking, because it is very late in their part of the world where they're at right now, if there's going to be a replay. There will be a replay. I don't know exactly, because we're live streaming directly to YouTube. That copy is available almost immediately. I may go back and usually I have to log in. I log in about 30 minutes or so ahead of the scheduled webinar just to make sure the feed is stable and everything else. And so what I usually do is I usually go back and edit that first 30 minutes out, so you don't have a 30-minute wait waiting for the video to start or whatever, and you don't miss any content. However, there is, because we are streaming from Zoom to YouTube, there is about a, depending on internet lag, anywhere between a 45 to a 90-second delay between when my video shows up or when I answer the question and it shows up on YouTube. Now, those of you on YouTube, the chat function is in real time. So as you type it, I will see it, but you may not get an answer to your question right away because there's the lag. And then, of course, I may not actually see it because so many things are flying back and forth. So this is where my next set of questions come in. By a show of hands, or by typing in the chat, because I'm big on interactiveness. If you want to get the most out of this webinar, simply follow the instruction, do what I say. If I ask you to type something in the chat, type it in the chat. If I ask you to write something down, write it down, because the job of this webinar, in addition to entertaining you, is to educate you and train you so that you come away from this webinar with actionable skills, things that you can take out into the world right away and use to improve your life in the ways that are important to you. So first and foremost, make sure you have lots of oxytocin increasing substances. Caffeinated beverages are usually your favorite stimulant of choice, as I think I said it in the chat. And finally, things to write with. You're going to be doing writing during this training. This is one of those trainings where if you want to get the biggest bang for your buck, you gotta follow the instructions and follow the processes. That being said, you don't have to believe anything I'm about to tell you or share with you. It's not important. What's important is that you actually do what I tell you to do and find out for yourself where the validity of these particular techniques come in. Now, going back to new people versus not so new people. If you're new, type in the chat your name, where you're checking in from, and first time in the chat, so we know how many new people we have. And then if you're a veteran, if you've been bebopping around Planet David, if you've been to some of our live events, if you've taken these skills out into the world and actually used them, type your name, where you're checking in from, and type veteran in the chat, right? Because as is my wont, I rely on my students, the ones who've actually trained personally with me and done these things, to actually assist me in this webinar. See, I'm a webinar presenter. I'm a YouTube personality, and I'm teaching you all these things. And of course, there's going to be an offer at the end of this event, as is tradition. So you expect me to be biased. You expect me to be, say my stuff is the best. Then fine, that's fine. Don't take my word for it. Okay. Talk to the people in the chats who have done these materials, who've taken them out into the world and used them, right? You don't have to believe a single thing I say. If what I say works for you, keep it and use it. If it doesn't, chuck it and find something else that does. That being said, here's where the most important piece comes in. If politically incorrect language, colorful metaphors, swearing, or the word boobies offends you, this is probably not the best use of your time, okay? If you're a first timer and you're checking in with us, okay? If you're used to a regular traditional 90-minute format where they tease you, give you a little tidbit, tease, and then they hit you with this $20 million offer at the end of the training, you're probably going to be disappointed. There is an offer, but it's not at the end of the training. And our webinars are what we call free form webinars. And what that means is we're going to begin the formal presentation very, very shortly. But what's actually going to happen is we're going to actually customize the content to what you want. We're going to teach as much content, actionable, workable things that you can go out into the world and use while laying the foundations for other stuff as much as we can in the first 60 to 75 minutes. Then we're going to circle around. We're going to show you the training package or the offer that we have for today. We're going to present that for you. And then we're going to circle back. And then for the next 2-3 hours or however long it is you guys can stand me, I'm going to continue to teach. We're going to take the things we learned at the beginning of the webinar. We're going to build on it. We're going to functionalize it. We're going to add more stuff, more techniques that's targeted towards what you really want to learn about. Does that sound like a fair trade? If this is the scope of everything that there is to learn about human influence and persuasion, we have time for this much. So my commitment to you is I will take you as far as I can in the time that we have, and I will point you in the direction of where to go for more if that's really what you want to do. Is that a fair trade? If you think that's a fair trade, just type it in the chat. Cool. All right, so you know how things are going to work, right? I'm gonna begin what I lovingly call the David, Dog, and Pony Show. And I'm going to go through my presentation. We're going to veer off and do the offer, come back and continue to teach. So again, if you've trained yourself to do a 90-minute shot and then you're off to other things, that's okay. You'll at least understand what we're offering. You'll miss out on you may miss out on the other techniques that we teach unless you come back for the webinar, the replay, but at least you'll get something that you can take out into the world right away and start using. And by the way, I love questions, I do. But we've got hundreds of people on the webinar, and we've got at least 40 something in the Zoom room, and God knows how many are on YouTube right now because they come out of the woodwork when people find out we're doing these AMAs. So if I don't answer your question, it's usually because it went by so fast I didn't see it. But those of you who are veterans of Planet David, if you see a question where you've had field validated experience of it, and you can answer that person's question, please feel free to do so, right? We do have somebody monitoring the YouTube chat. So if somebody decides to troll out on us, we call it playing whack-a-troll. We won't even give you a warning. We'll just say ban by, right? And most of the time people are pretty well behaved. So I'm pretty cool with people coming in, and I'm not a persuasion cop. So I'm not here to judge whatever applications you want to learn about. All right. And the topic for today is weapons of social seduction, discovering the psychological master keys to have people hanging on your every word, how to never lose an argument, fail a job interview, or miss a sale ever again, all without lying, cheating, or stealing. And without any further ado, if it's okay with you, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the David, Dog, and Pony Show, as I like to call it. It's our formal presentation. Then what's going to happen is we're going to jump off. We're going to customize the content for today's webinar. Then we're going to circle back. We're going to integrate that into the first set of techniques that I'm going to teach you. And we're just going to keep going until we hit that 1 hour, 15-minute mark. We're going to do our offer, and then we're going to circle back and continue to teach based on what we've accomplished in the past or what we've worked on previously. Is that fair? Is that cool? Paul says, my beard looks cooler than last time. I shaved. People are starting to give me a hard time because I don't look like my picture anymore. You think I should get new pictures, or am I cool with the facial hair? Or should I just go back to being clean shaven? What do you think? Update branding. We must have a marketer in the house. Somebody's saying, whack, how is there not an emoji for a troll? I think that the poop emoji is usually good enough for trolls. Madeline says clean shaven. Okay. All right. Without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into the formal presentation for today, and then we'll get into this stuff. People say cool, but I'm amazing now. You guys are so good for my ego. It's amazing how my head still fits in the room. You guys are so wonderful to me sometimes. All right, so here we go. Weapons of social seduction. Discovering the master psychological keys to having people hanging on your every word. How to never lose a sale, fail an argument, or miss a job interview ever again. By the way, this is all proven. We have a ton of people on the call today, as well as people in the past who've actually taken the material from this webinar, gone out and nailed jobs. They've actually been asked to come back for another job, a better job that was actually opening up a couple of weeks later. And we can't talk about who it is or where it is, but if you're on the call and you want to talk about your experiences, please, by all means, do that. Okay, I'm Dr. David Snyder, the doctor of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. And of course, the question probably for most of you new guys and gals is, who the hell is David Snyder and why should I care? Well, first and foremost, I am an actual doctor. I have a doctorate of Oriental medicine, of acupuncture and Chinese medicine from Pacific College of Oriental Medicine. I've been a licensed acupuncturist here in the state of California since 2005, when I graduated from Los Angeles College, or Southern California University of Health Sciences, formerly Los Angeles College of Chiropractic. In the past 3 years, 2020, I was named the #1 NLP trainer of the year by globalgurus.org. Previously, I was in the top 2, right next to the great and powerful Richard. This year, we took the #1 slot, mostly thanks to wonderful and amazing support from people like you who've really seen the value in what we train and what we do. And that's our job, to help you get the life you want the way that you want it. But just as a bit of a background, I've authored over 15 different products on various forms of human influence, everything ranging from attraction and dating, sensuality and sexuality, all the way up to advanced therapeutic applications, sales and marketing techniques, hypnotherapy, energy healing, vibrational influence. And we create these courses specifically to help people who have zero to no background become awesome in the shortest amount of time possible. They're fun, they're fast, they're user-friendly. And of course, we were voted, not only were we considered good, we were considered inspirational. What's interesting about globalgurus.org is a few days after I got this notice, I got this letter in the mail, or in the email. And it says, "Dear David, it's with great pleasure to announce that your training program, Killer Influence, has been chosen by global peers and ranked as the #1 best program in the world for NLP." You can see it here. And of course, when you click on that link, these are all the people who are in the running. Now, what's really interesting, by the way, all the techniques that you're going to be learning today are actually taken from our Killer Influence program. You can find them in one of our Killer Influence home study courses, in our live events, and they're very powerful. They're practically nuclear. And of course, there's a whole lot more in the courses, but these things, if you just had these, you could pretty much write your own ticket anywhere you wanted to go. But what's funny and what's interesting is we never actually promoted Killer Influence as an NLP course. We promoted it and we trained it as a social influence course, a way for people who are interested in dating, interviewing, negotiation, marketing, the full spectrum of getting people to do what you want and believe what you say. That's what we promoted it as, and people thought, well, this is the best NLP course. Well, it's NLP derived, but there's a lot more to it than just NLP, which is probably one of the reasons why people like it so much. And I think as you go through the drills today, you're going to find out that, especially when it comes to the field of influence and persuasion, a little tiny bit of information, applied the right way, creates megatons of power and ability in the world. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of look you in the eye and kind of share that with you, because sometimes the best things come out you from unexpected places. So anyway, are you guys still seeing? Are you still okay? Are you seeing this screen? I don't know if I'm sharing the right one. Here we go. Try that. Okay, there we go. All right. Just as a way of kind of fleshing out the background, I've been a lifelong martial artist. I have a 10th degree black belt in Ryukyu Kempo Karate. I hold a 4th degree black belt in Shaolin Kun Tao, a 2nd degree black belt in Kosho Kempo Ryu, and 1st degree black belt in Fan Ku. I'm a certified instructor in Combat Sistema, Cinco Mano Eskrima, and Modern Arnis. In terms of energy work, This is a short list. I've been a Reiki master teacher since the early 90s. I was a Reiki master and a teacher before Reiki was even cool. I'm going to have an advanced pranic healer and pranic psychotherapy certification, advanced DNA theta healing, of course, the Bankston energy system, which many of you people know me as a big proponent of that, many forms of Qigong and Hermetic energetic practices, which we teach in our vibrational influence classes as well. So when you go through this pedigree, as many people often ask, what do all these things have in common? Well, the big thing, and I want you to start to really wrap your head around, is a concept called pattern recognition. Pattern recognition is the ability to see structure and repetition of that structure at many different levels of human reality. What does that pattern recognition have to do with human influence? Well, pretty much everything. You see, human beings do everything in patterns. They have patterns of movement, patterns of thought, patterns of behavior, patterns of feeling, patterns of sensory attention that they follow. And when you begin to look at the world, and this is one of the big things that NLP really taught me, is that and this is why I recommend getting trained in NLP, but doing it in the right sequence. NLP teaches us to look at the world not in terms of meaning per se, but in terms of process and structure, in terms of, is something useful or not useful? And when you begin to move through the world, seeing things through the eyes and the filter of process and structure, these patterns will start to become more and more evident. And as you become aware of those patterns, and they become more and more evident to you, if you have the right guidance and the right teachings, you can start to manage those patterns. You can start to anticipate what the likely outcomes of certain interventions at certain points in those patterns are. And that gives you a tremendous ability to influence and control both yourself, your life, and the situations around you. And that's really where we're going with the material in today's training. It's based on this concept of pattern recognition. You don't need to be a neurolinguistic programmer to do what we're going to share with you today. In fact, classical NLP training, if you apply it to what we're about to teach you, can actually hold you back and get in the way. So the less you know about NLP, the better off you're probably going to be right now. Okay. I know it's going to piss off a lot of people out there, but it is what it is, right? I know, like I said, if you're expecting politically correct language and worrying about offending people, well, it's never my intention to offend anyone. But part of my particular style of creating change is to provoke, to get people to think and to feel certain ways, so that they have something so they know where to explore. And if you come to some of our advanced mental training classes and things of that nature, we'll show you how that all kind of fits together, right? I apologize if I seem to keep disappearing like I'm the invisible man. I have a virtual background right now because my studio downstairs is under renovation. And so I'm using a virtual background because I missed my bookshelf. All right, let's go back. So is this class for you? Well, let's ask. If you can answer yes to any of the following questions, you're probably in the right place. If you've ever fantasized or wanted to learn how to become super attractive to the opposite sex and maybe even make them find you charming, fascinating, and irresistible, congratulations, you're probably in the right place. If you would like to learn exactly how to banish fear and insecurity from your life, radiate confidence, assertiveness, and power, congratulations. You're in the right spot. If you'd like to learn how to use influence to make more money from your job, book more clients for your business, get that raise or promotion you know you deserve, congratulations, you found the right place to be. If you've ever been on the receiving end of some manipulative son of a bitch, if you'd like to learn how to protect yourself from these manipulators and learn how to handle difficult people, if you have to manage teams where people have very different ways of responding to the things you want them to do, congratulations, this is going to be one of the best 2 or 3 hours you've ever spent. If you want to have people thinking, feeling, and acting the way you want them to think and feel and act, congratulations, you're in the right place, okay? If you'd like to know exactly how to cause anyone you meet to like, admire, and trust you, even love you, if you follow the process, this is going to be a good place for you. Right? Especially starting the new year. If you take the time we have during the Christmas and New Year's breaks and you start to really drill down on many of the techniques I'm sharing with you, you're going to come out on the other side of that with some amazing skill sets that just magnetically draw people to you. It's just something that happens. So be warned, this shit works. Okay. If you'd like to know how to nail 2 or 3 job interviews right out of the gate, even though people coming in have a better resume than you, if you'd like to have them calling you up and offering you jobs that weren't even available when you interviewed for them. That has happened to people who've taken the materials that we're going to be sharing with you. You know, if you manage and lead teams, you'd like to learn to inspire and lead and get your children or your spouse to actually, you know, be more compliant around the house. This is going to be a really good way. If you'd like to kind of fine tune the relationships that you have with those members of your family, this is going to be really important for you. Okay, there's some nuclear stuff in here that's cross-contextual. It works everywhere, from the classroom to the courtroom to the boardroom to the bar room to the bedroom to the therapy room and beyond. Okay, and of course we've all fantasized about you know, having this magical Svengali-like ability to just be charming and enchant people and put them under our spell, so to speak. Well, I can't guarantee that you'll put somebody under a spell, but you'll come pretty freaking close. It'll come pretty freaking close. And it'll be the kind of spell that people really like to be in. And I think that's important because, you know, as ironic as the title Killer Influence is, the whole point behind Killer Influence is to move through the world, making everyone you meet feel ridiculously good just for having encountered you, and by showing them how to get everything that they want by doing what you want. Is that ethical? Is that fair to be the kind of person who moves through the world making everyone feel good, and then showing people how to get everything they want by doing what you want? Is that a fair trade? Is that ethical in most people's worldview? And type if you think that's ethical, because it's a big, and here's why I talk about ethics. First and foremost, there's a lot of people who got their hands on these, on earlier versions of these techniques 10, 20, 30 years ago. And what happened is, they were angry at the system. They were looking at ways to get back at the system. And when they started promoting these techniques and they started promoting this technology, a lot of them did it as a way to kind of, pardon my French, but fuck the system, to get back at the people who put you down, who held you back. They spun it as a way to kind of hack everyone. And the problem with that is that most people that I have met don't actually want to hurt people. They don't actually want to feel like they're lying or cheating or whatever. And one of the problems is that because of that early spin and kind of the taint that they established, people came to view these methodologies as a win-lose kind of a scenario. And it's not necessary. You can get everything you want in your life. You can be the shining epitome of a good Jedi, and protect yourself from these win-lose people very, very powerfully if you just embrace the methodology that I'm sharing with you. And you'll be able to look at yourself in the mirror every morning. You'll like the person staring back at you. You'll never have to look over your shoulder or wonder if somebody's coming back for revenge or whatever. Because I will tell you, these things are immensely powerful. And if you use them to do a win-lose scenario, you might wind up with a stalker who doesn't have your best interests at heart, right? But it's never necessary to lie, to cheat, to steal. You're going to find that the ability to get what you want in life from doing the few techniques I'm going to share with you, just in various combinations, will give you orders of magnitude. Life will become easier, but it does mean you have to do some work. It does mean you have to develop the skill sets and the willingness to go out and play with this. And that's the biggest thing I want you to really kind of wrap your mind around when we start exploring these techniques. The first and foremost is the more playful you are with these techniques, the better they work. Seriousness is the kiss of death. Seriously. Just as a quick aside, how many people on the call today would like to be 30 to 31% better at everything? Would that be useful? Type it in the chat if you think that's useful. Useful, absolutely, right? Paul saying yes, right? That's all you got. This particular statistic comes from hostage negotiation. When the hostage negotiator, one of the tensest, most adversarial forms of communication we have, when the hostage negotiator is in a playful, easygoing mood, they're 30% better at being persuasive. They're 30% more responsive. They're 30% more aware. They're 30% more creative. And their counterpart, this is the important piece, their counterpart, the criminal, the hostage taker, is 30% more responsive and compliant to the requests of the negotiator. Now, If it works in those kinds of situations, do you think it might work at a networking function? Do you think it might work in a courtroom? Do you think it might work on a first date? Do you think it might work for asking somebody on a first date? Type yes or yes if you think if that's useful. Okay, so I've given you your first big state control tip for today. Be as playful as humanly possible. Okay, if you start to think, oh, I can't mess this up, I can't mess this up, you're going to mess it up. Okay, be playful with this. Okay, cool. All right, let's go back to the PowerPoint really quick. And by the way, in case you haven't figured it out, I hate PowerPoints. But my personal promise to you, if you stay until the end of the webinar, which by the way is going to be probably right around 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm just going to let you know that's usually right about the time we get off. I will stay longer if people want, but usually right about then, everybody is kind of in, they're in saturation mode. But if you stay until the end, I do promise you that I will deliver to you the fastest, most powerful and direct way to make people like, love, and trust you. Many times in seconds, but I'll just say in minutes just to be conservative. I'm going to teach you how to have people hanging on your every word. And it's a neurological compulsion that they have. They can't not pay attention to you. It's amazing how powerfully this works. I'm going to show you how to emotionally bond another human being to you, your product, your service, and make them want to do what you want them to do. And finally, I'm going to point you in the direction for how to go from someone who's just collecting interesting information to becoming a master of unstoppable persuasion. Does that sound like a good plan for today? Yes or no? Type that in the chat if you think it's a good plan. All right, cool. Get ready. Because here's the first part of your exercise. Remember that this is a free-form webinar. I have anywhere between 5 and 7 different techniques I've prepared for you. But I don't know which ones to teach you until I know what it is you want to learn about. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to type in the chat what is, and by the way, also write this on a piece of paper on the materials I asked you to get earlier. Write this out on the paper that you're using. If you want to use a notepad on your computer to do it, that's fine. I find handwriting tends to make it a little bit more powerful if you actually physically write it out by hand. That's just a little stylistic variation. But what is the biggest, most important question you have about how to influence others today that you would like the answer to? In other words, if you came away from this webinar with nothing other than the answer or the skill, the technique to fix this one problem, or at least move you in that direction, what would it be? Go ahead and take a moment or two, type it in the chat. Okay. So Day is asking how you influence people from afar. You're going to have to, and by the way, many times if I see your question, I'm going to ask you to restate the question because many times the question is too vague or there's no context. And sometimes your technique changes as your context changes. So don't be shocked if I see your question, if I do see your question and I ask you to restate it, okay? Because the better the question, you're going to find that very quickly, the better the question, the better the answer is going to be. Be more of a leader, how to let go of fear, having influence of others, how to influence people when you're starting out with bad rapport and them not wanting to talk to you. Okay. What else we got? Let's see some of our YouTubers over here. How can someone become more charismatic and flowy with conversations and new interactions? Okay, very cool. I have some drills for that, believe it or not, Brenna. Caravan is asking, I have a question, David. I can help change people's self-image rapidly. I want to be able to apply it on myself. Okay, it's not going to help me. Influencing your procrastinating mind. Speak from a place of confidence and knowledge. Using this on the phone. How to have good training drills. Ooh, you guys are helping with increasing sales. Okay, that's going to happen automatically, by the way. Who asked that? Robert, if you just take everything, if you just take the 2 or 3 techniques that like echo technique, emotional bonding checklist, you're going to see probably a 40 to 60% bump in your sales if you apply it. If you don't apply it, it's not going to help you. Okay. How to have good training drills. Conquer my inner moron. Well, I don't know if, again, this is a human influence. This is a persuasion and influence call, but I'm seeing a lot of get attention when you speak in a group. Okay, we can teach you how to do that. There's a lot of state control stuff you guys are asking me about today. That was not what I saw coming. To influence in a way that is not obvious. When others feel manipulated, they fight it and do the opposite. Yes, that is true, Sue. How do you protect yourself from psychic attack? Okay, let's see. Using 3 magic questions to motivate students to take action in their academic. Okay. Get people to do what you want them to, allow them to stay in what they want most. Influencing your procrastinating mind. Okay. You know what I see, interestingly today, is a lot of state control questions. So that's going to take us in a slightly different direction, but is it okay to start with some basic ideas for controlling your state? Would that be useful? Transition from rapport to leading. How to qualify people as romantic partners. Okay. How to be dominant, a leader in life. Okay. How to make someone you want. Hold on a second. See here. How to make someone want to be honest with you. Okay. How to be dominant, a leader in life. Thank you. How to qualify people as romantic partners. Transition from rapport to leading. For sure. Can you discuss the practice of sexual transmutation? Bijan, not on this webinar. That is not the topic of this webinar. We have other trainings coming up in August for that stuff. Strengthen rapport. Okay. Okay. All right. I see where we're at. How to negotiate bigger discounts when buying real estate. Okay. Increase amplitude of influence. All right. All right. So then, based on what I'm seeing here, it looks like today is going to be a state control 3 magic questions day. So the 4 big techniques we're going to start to play with today, we're going to start once again with the hidden driver behind all decision making that people engage in. We're going to start with the hidden passcode to the human nervous system, the one single technique that simultaneously builds, accelerates, and deepens rapport while at the same time links all of your other techniques together and forces people to pay attention to you. So we're going to start with the master key of that, and we're going to start with the emotional bonding checklist. We're going to jump into an overview of the universal persuasion protocol. We're going to drill down on some very powerful state control exercises. Okay, and then we're going to circle back. You know, we'll do our offer. Well, again, we'll probably get like 2 of these things out of the way before we have to transition to our offer. We'll do our offer. We'll come back. We'll build on state control. We'll build on 3 magic questions, and we'll just keep going to help. Good training drills will help you the most in life. Yes, good training drills will help you the most in life, but you have to learn the technique before you can have the drill. So let's start with that. Does that sound like a good plan for today? If you think that's a good plan, go ahead and type that in the chat. Karim is asking how to seduce all personality types. You're on, just pay attention. It all starts here. All right. So let's look at let's take a 50,000 mile view of the entire system and understand that what we're going to be doing is drilling down on specific aspects of the entire system. The entire systems can be found in our CPI modules. They can be found in our killer influence modules. There's a few of them scattered throughout YouTube. You can find them all on NLP Power. And I'll point you in the direction of where to go to get the biggest bang for your buck with that. But if you're looking for the entire buffet, those are where you would look. So we're going to take a sample platter approach today. Okay. Will I cover the projection? You're talking about the acceptance, rejection, projection, connection. Paul, no, not today. That would be something that would be more appropriate for a mental training secrets or identity by design or hypnotherapy, rapid trauma resolution workshop. It is germane to what we're doing, and it does impact self-image. But by and large, the techniques that we're going to be playing with today will fill the gap for you really, really quickly. Okay. Again, if you do them, if you just sit there, take notes, never fucking do a thing, it can't help you. I'm good at what I do. I'm good at teaching people how to do these things, even virtually, but I can't multiply zeros. If you don't actually do the drills, you're never going to have the experience, and you're never going to voluntarily use the skills out in the real world. Okay. These techniques will not work for you if you don't actually use them. Okay. All right. So let's look at where I need to go. All right. Sure I got the right page here. Hold on a second. All right. So like I said before, the techniques that you're learning are drawn from a system I created many, many years ago for me. And I got to tell you up front that 99% of the things I create, I did not create for other people. I created them for me because I needed to solve a problem in my life. And I got tired of being kept like a mushroom, being kept in the dark most of the time and fed bullshit. So I decided that I was going to do whatever it took. I'm going to spend as much money as I had to, invest as much time, books, videos, whatever I had to. I was going to find what worked, and I was going to put it together in a way that worked for me. And this is what came out of that. This is called the CPI Killer Influence System, specifically now known as the Universal Persuasion Protocol. oops, the universal persuasion protocol is a formula that you follow. And you literally just go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you just follow this formula using whatever techniques you have that fit the category, you will be able to exert influence maximally in any situation or circumstance that you find yourself in. Like I said before, I've tested this system everywhere. In 2005, I was named one of the top 10 attraction experts of the year by seductionlayer.com and Art of Approaching. It's not in my CV, mostly because there was no room for it. But one of the ways that I did it was through applying this system to my social and dating life. Now, I went through my entire undergraduate education on writing scholarships. I was recruited by both colleges that I worked for, or both colleges that I attended in my undergraduate education, because of this. I could go on and on about all the things this particular system allowed me to do, but this isn't about me today. This is about you. It's about getting you what you want. So as we move through this process, the first thing we're going to talk about is drilling down on knowing your outcome. So first rule of influence. All right. If you want to take a screenshot of this, you can. First rule of influence is you never enter any persuasion interaction without knowing your outcome. You got to know what you want, and you got to know how you know you're getting it, right? You've got to have a way to measure whether you're on track or not. In the first course I ever created for guys on how to be the best lover any of their partners have ever had, there was a chapter in that book that I called the single biggest reason why most seduction and pickup systems fail. And it was basically one small problem. It was that the people who were learning and practicing these systems of influences had no way to calibrate if what they were doing was having the effect they wanted. They didn't know if what they were doing was moving them closer to attraction or away from attraction. So when we talk about this concept of knowing your outcome, it doesn't have to be a big, lofty, grandiose outcome. It just needs to be a simple way to measure if you're moving towards what you want or not, and being able to change what you're doing to move towards the goal. Does that make sense? The outcome could be as simple as meeting somebody, saying hi, and finding out if they're cool. Or it could be something as more complex as, meeting the CEO of a Fortune 500 company and being hired as assistant vice president or administrative assistant, and at a very high level. Or again, you may have to go through a ton of gatekeepers to get to that CEO level, right? That's a very long, intricate process. But either way, whether it's a very simple thing, walking up to someone saying hi and actually getting a phone number, getting somebody to come in to do a prospect client consultation, or something more long and drawn out, right? Becoming the #1 NLP trainer in the world, for example. It doesn't matter what the outcome is, as long as you know if you're moving towards it or not. Does that make sense? Okay. One of my mentors, the great Lisa Sasevich, who is amazing, for those of you female entrepreneurs out there, and even smart, intelligent guys should go study her, because she's amazing at pulling money out of people and getting people feeling really good about handing over lots of money for change. But one of the things that she said, and sticks with me to this day, is the greatest GPS in the world can't help you if you don't take action, if you stay in one spot. So knowing what you want, knowing how you get there is like the GPS coordinate, but actually getting off your ass and doing something and moving towards it is the other piece of that. And and of course the GPS tells you, doesn't it, when you're moving away from the goal or towards the goal. And that's, again, what we want to think about, is we need to know how we're getting what we want, right? So before you even begin any other process, you got to know what you want and how and if you're getting it or not. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, type it in the chat. I know it sounds like for a lot of you, it's like blatantly obvious, right? But some people, not so much. A lot of people have a very, and I'm this way a lot, is a ready, fire, aim. It's like they just start taking actions, but forward motion does not equal progress. If you're running west looking for a sunrise, you're kind of screwed. It's going to take a long time to get what you want, right? Okay, so know your outcome. Next piece. Control your state. Now, I can't hear you in the room we're at, but I want you to repeat this after me out loud. This is the 6-stage universal persuasion protocol. In any situation where you need to exert influence, the first thing you're going to do after you define your outcome is you're going to control your state. You're going to get rapport. You're going to use whatever language skills you have. You're going to use those to manage the state of the subject that are the target of your influence. You're going to jump into whatever internal processes they use to make the kind of decision you want them to make, and you're going to emotionally bond them. You're going to emotionally bond you, your product, or your service to their criteria and values. That's the emotional triggers that drive people to do everything. So let's go ahead and, with vigor and with feeling, let's go ahead and go, repeat after me. A, control your state. Get rapport. Use your language. Manage their state. Jump into their process. Emotionally bond to their criteria and values. Once again, control your state. Get rapport. Use your language. Manage their state. Jump into their process. Link to their criteria and values. One more time, with feeling now. Control your state. Get rapport. Use your language. Manage your state. Jump into their process. Link to their criteria and values. If you find yourself in a social situation and you want to influence somebody, first thing you guys, okay, I want to meet that person. What am I going to do next? I'm going to control my state. Then what am I going to do? I'm going to figure out how to get rapport with that person using whatever techniques I know. I'm going to use whatever language skills I have to create that rapport bridge and build it and accelerate it. I'm going to use all those skills to manage the state of the person I'm talking to. I'm going to figure out how they decide somebody's cool or what they really love to do, which is a process. And I'm going to bond myself to it. I'm going to create a bridge of sameness between me and that person so that they realize that they're getting the things that are most emotionally important to them by doing what I want them to do. Trust me, Liam, you were not the only one yelling at your screen. And you know what? If you were yelling at your screen, you're probably going to be awesome at this. So once again, so you can take a screenshot of this. Okay. Kim is saying, I'm anxious. There's no way I'm going to be able to persuade an autistic student to have a calm body if I don't control my state first. Absolutely. You got to control your state. Now, there's a lot of different ways to control your state. The fastest, most bulletproof way to do that is by controlling your physical posture and your breathing. And I would start with that in that order. Breathing first, posture second. If you do your posture changes first, your breathing will begin to follow, then your psyche will begin to follow. Okay? Okay. James is saying good state control is counting your breaths on the exhale. Yes, but I would still begin with a postural shift first. Okay. This is, again, I've been training people for almost 20 years on this stuff now. And a lot of people default to breathwork as a way to control your state, and it works. However, if your posture and physiology are not in harmony with the breathing pattern you're trying to take on, you actually get more resistance to the breathing pattern. Whereas if you take on the physiology first, the physical posture allows the lungs to work in a more lubricated way. There's an order of precedence to this. Okay. So again, posture first, breathing next. Now, for those of you who want to begin the process of doing state control based on posture, and by the way, we devote almost an entire day to state control training at our CPI and Killer Influence Systems. It is not a small thing, but most people only pay lip service to state control. If you go to classical NLP, classical hypnosis, classic state or sales training, they'll tell you need to control your state, but they won't tell you how. And if they do tell you how, it will be a way that's completely unworkable in a real life situation. That's the problem. You need to be able to do this shit out in the real world in front of real people while you're actually doing other things. And so that's why, Laura said it very well, posture is bulletproof. It's almost impossible for somebody to control your state if you're maintaining a certain type of posture. Most of your frame control, if you've read any of the books by, let me go back to this real quick. If you've read any of the books by Oren Klaff, like Pitch Anything or anything, he talks about frame control. One of the biggest linchpins of any form of state control is body feelings. Body feelings. Okay. And if you don't know what I mean by frame control, then go get Oren's book, Pitch Anything, and read it and understand frames. But it's the first thing that happens when people get together is they have a frame of reality. They have a certain meaning that they've assigned to the interaction. And then they place you in that frame and they assign what you mean in their world. Those states are actually based on the body feelings a person has. So if you can maintain a body feeling and a posture connected to it, it's impossible for somebody to break your frame, right? They say in Persuasion and Attraction and dating and relationships that the person who controls the frame controls the game. Well, one of the secrets to controlling your frame is controlling your body feelings. The secret to controlling your body feelings is to control your physiology, your posture, and your breathing. If you can hold that, then you can own any situation. You can actually become magnetically charismatic just by holding a particular posture. It can amplify your posture significantly. Okay. People are asking about eye contact. Yes, we can talk about eye contact, but that's going to take us in a very different direction. We actually have full courses on nonverbal influence that we offer. And if we ever do some webinars on that stuff, I'm happy to share those things with you. But for right now, we're going to drill down on exactly what we need to move forward. And the first thing is state control through physiology. So everybody stand up real quick. Everybody stand up real quick. And I want you to close your eyes. But if you're driving, don't do this. If you're operating any kind of heavy machinery, don't do this. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to remember a time in your life when you saw something that you really, really wanted. I mean on a 0 to 10 scale, it had a lust factor of like 27. And you wanted it so much that you decided you were going to do whatever it took to get it. You made a plan, you put that plan into operation, and boom, you nailed it, home run, right? I want you to close your eyes and remember that moment when you realized you were a winner. What were you smelling, or what were you seeing in that moment? What were you hearing? What were you smelling? What were you tasting? Because when you do that, when you're in that place and you see what you see, and you hear what you hear, and you smell and you taste what you smell and you taste, there is an amazing feeling that you get, a feeling of being absolutely victorious. Remember that moment of absolute victory. And most importantly, remember how you were standing. Remember how you were breathing, and stand and breathe that way right now. For those of you who've never had that experience, I wonder if you can imagine what that might be like. To just see something you want, do whatever it took to get it, and boom, you nail it, home run, 100%. What might that be like for you? Imagine a beautiful ball of energy standing of that. Notice that place in your body where that feeling starts, where it grows and where it spreads from. Point to where you feel it. Stand the way you were standing in that moment. As you notice that feeling growing in your body, notice there's a place in your body where those feelings start, where they grow, where they spread from. And there's a color, maybe even a series of colors connected to those feelings. What color or colors, I'm curious, would that be for you? You don't got to type it in the chat, but just know, speak it out loud, what color that would be. Imagine a beautiful ball of that energy floating above your head. Notice how the feelings in your body shift and change as with every breath you take and every beat of your heart, this ball of energy begins to grow, begins to expand, begins to fill the entire room, from floor to ceiling, from wall to wall, and all points in between. Notice how it wraps itself around you like an amazing blanket of victory, of triumph, a cocoon, a shield, a suit of armor, insulating you, protecting you from all defeat, all failures, real or imagined, while at the same time flooding your mind, flooding your body, flooding your spirit with everything it most wants, everything it most needs in an infinite, ever-expanding, and unlimited supply. And when you know you've got that, I want you to breathe those amazing colors through your entire being. Let it fill you up like water fills up a bottle, like fluid fills up a test tube, like hot air or helium fills up a balloon. Anchor it in so fully, so completely, no force in the universe can turn it off or take it away, not even you. And when you know you've got that, test it. Try to turn it off. Try to make it go away. And notice what happens instead. And then go ahead and type that in the chat. What do you notice? You guys with us? Burst of more power. Now, if you went up to somebody or went into your presentations or your approaches with this, how do you think it would go? Can't make it go away? Very nice. So excited, yes. My system is oppositional fine and only gets stays there, change my state, 18 degrees. Excellent. Very nice. Is that a good place to start? Warm, but also buzzy. Okay. If it goes away, you probably did something wrong. Okay. 180, excellent. Perfect. Excellent. Now, is this a good place to start? Yes or no? Type it in the chat if you think this is a good place to start. I feel like I could live 10 times. Excellent. Now, do you think if you approach somebody in this state that they would receive you pretty positively? Adrenaline, I won. Yeah, right? This is where we start. This is why state control is so important, okay? Now, this is a quick and easy way to build a very powerful state. And there's other things you can do with it, but this is going to give us the biggest bang for our buck. Anything you can conceive of and imagine that generates a body feeling can be done with this process, okay? In our advanced state control modules, we'll show you meditations and drills, because people are asking about drills, that you can use to amplify and magnify this state ability. Now, here's one of the important things I want to get for you. The fastest way to control anybody's state, let me go back to this particular motion. Remember, we control your state, manage their state. That means getting them to feel what we want them to feel. The fastest way to control another human being's state is to control yours first. Does that make sense? In other words, we have this thing called mirror neurons in our body that pick up the signals that people send consciously and unconsciously and replicate them in our own neurology. Some of you are asking about autistic children. Autism has been linked to mirror neuron issues. If you understand, and we cover this more in depth in vibrational influence, if you understand how this mirror neuron system works from an interpersonal perspective, you can utilize your mirror neurons to influence the mirror neurons of anyone, including autistic children. So this is, again, I've never taught this outside of this webinar, but this is an important thing. Your state control can dramatically create a bridge between you and the mirror neuron system of another human being. The only thing that I can't predict is to what degree that bridge will be and how much juice will flow along it. But this is, again, for you first. If you practice this every day, when you get up in the morning, when you go to bed at night, use a different state when you go to bed at night, by the way. But in the morning, this is going to supercharge you. Anytime you need to go into a persuasion situation, you decide what you want, you do your color breathing posture exercise, you go in and you hit them with a rapport bridge. Are you following me so far? Yes or yes? Liam says, I'm assuming the closer you are, the easier it is. It can be. When you get into vibrational influence, you can do this from across the street. You can do it from across the planet, right? But everything builds, okay? So that's state control, what we're going to work with today, right? Control your state, get rapport. Now, the next thing that has to happen is we have to begin to generate rapport with people. The next technique I'm going to share with you, we're going to do it experientially together. It is designed, it will simultaneously emotionally bond people to you, your product, or your service, while at the same time amplify and accelerate the rapport that you have with that person. Would that be useful to be able to do that? To emotionally bond people to your product, you, or your service. Okay, so let's jump into that. We're coming up. I'm a little behind, so I apologize in terms of my timetable. But we needed to get this state control thing done. Now, a lot of the veterans will tell you, the guys on the call here today, that the drill I just gave you has orders of magnitude more applications than just the tiny piece that we're using it for. Okay. and you can, you know, and again, if you come to trainings, you'll get more, but if you just do this as many times a day as you can, you're going to create a very powerful state of neuroplasticity in your body. You're going to generate a charismatic aura around you that people will feel. Okay. But you got to be in control of it. And state control, as we define it, is the ability to enter or exit any emotional state at will for any reason, under any circumstances. That's what we call state control. This is a first way to do it. Okay. So next, what I want you to do is I want you to go back to the outcomes, the reason that you came on this webinar today, the thing that you want to accomplish from this webinar. I want you to take out your piece of paper. And if you want, you can type in the chat what you want to get from today's webinar again, but we're going to do a drill together. This is an emotional bonding drill. We're going to do this as a solo exercise to feel the power of it, right? To link it to the techniques and the instructions you're getting in this training so that you become highly motivated to use these techniques out in the real world and follow whatever instructions are necessary for you to amplify and deepen that training. Is that okay to do that? Is it okay to do that? Can I guide you through that process? Yes or yes? Michael, if you follow what I'm about to share with you, every sales call you do will be amazing. Okay. It will dramatically simplify the selling process because you'll no longer be selling. You'll be asking people what it is they actually want to buy. And you'll make a determination very, very early on if you can give it to them. If you can give it to them, you just follow the protocol and they will buy from you most of the time out of default. 50% of the time or better, they'll actually ask you to buy it. Would that be cool? To have people just asking you to buy stuff? What do you think? Okay, here's how we go. Okay, so first thing, there was something you wanted to learn from this webinar that would allow you to achieve something out in the world. I want you to write on a piece of paper what it is you want to achieve from by using the techniques in this training and subsequent trainings that come. Write down exactly what it is you want to achieve, okay? And I'm going to show you the template that I want you to follow. This is called the emotional bonding checklist. Now, after the break, after they do the offer, I'll come back and I'll go through all of this nomenclature for you so you understand this process even more fully. But you don't need to understand this entire process or all the little nomenclature things to do the process. So we'll actually go through the full-blown technique of it when we get back. But right now we're going to experience it for ourselves. Is that fair? Type in the chat if you think that's fair. Okay. I'm waiting for my YouTubers. Okay. YouTubers are taking their time apparently. All right. So question template. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see this okay? Or do I need to make it bigger? Paul May is asking, as part of rapport, would you say it's important to match their state initially or at least to some extent? That's going to happen. And depending on what type of techniques you're using, it will happen first or it will happen second. Okay. Can you see this okay? This is your emotional bonding template in terms of how you ask this. So the first thing is you're going to ask the question. When you look at the thing you want to accomplish, when you look at what you've written, right? What you want to accomplish from getting the techniques on this webinar, okay? Ask yourself this question. What's important about getting it or having it? What's it going to do for you? Okay? Write your answer underneath that question. Whatever getting the result that you want from using the techniques that we're teaching you are, write that down and what it's going to do for you. Okay? When you've done that, type done in the chat. So I know, because I want to make sure that everybody's with me, because sometimes every now and then somebody gets lost in the sauce and I want to make sure that we're all good. My eyes are, screen's getting a little bright for me. So, all right, good. Now, underneath that answer. So in other words, you wrote your answer here, right? Ask yourself the same question about this answer. So in other words, you write your answer here, and then you go back and you ask, what's important about getting this? Write your answer. Okay. And again, I'm not going to ask you what you're writing. So make it as personal, make it as, be as on, and it's if it's politically incorrect, like, let me give you an example. If the reason you want to learn this material is so that you can get laid like a rock star, right? Anytime, anywhere, for any reason, write that the fuck down. I'm not going to judge you, right? If the reasons you're learning this is so you can be the most popular person at your family reunion, so all the people who dumped on you when you were young swallow their tongue in envy, that's okay. Write it down, right? I'm not going to judge you. But if we really want to tap into the power of this material, if you're learning this so that you can help someone you desperately love be better or get over a problem, write that down. I'm not a persuasion comp, but the power in this comes from the honesty you give to the answers, not the editing or the socially correct version of it. Okay? Go with your first impressions, Brenna. If you don't know why it's important, just go with your first impressions. Okay? And it's every now and then, if you just ask the second question, what's that going to do for you? Or what would having this do for you? And answer the question. Okay? Write the answer. So you write your answer once again. And then ultimately, if you got this, ultimately, what's important about that? And type it done when you're in the chat. Okay? Write your answer. Now the magic's about to start. Okay? As you look at those answers, how many of you noticed that as you were writing your answers, you felt some feelings in your body? Type it into, type yes if you felt something, type no if you didn't. Yeah, okay. Okay, if you didn't feel something, you didn't drill down deep enough. You felt hopeful? Excellent. Now, this is where it gets cool. I want you to take that list, and as you think about how getting the techniques and following the instructions in this webinar are connected to this, I want you to repeat your answers from level A to level B to level C, just the answers, out loud. Speak it out loud and notice what happens to the feelings in your body. Do it at least 3 to 5 times and type in the chat what you noticed. Type in the chat okay. Take your time. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk while you were practicing. Feeling gets stronger, Paul says. Anybody else? Feels a little overwhelming in a good way, Kate? Huge difference, right? Another strategy change for the excellent. Yeah, in a good way. Perfect. It's like peeling an onion. Yes. Okay. Anybody notice? Anybody start to tear up a little bit? Anybody notice that happening? I get my respect back. Very good, Jeff. Me? Mm-hmm. This is exactly what you're going to learn how to do with other people. When you engage people in this process, it will automatically link every single one of those things to you. You will know exactly what to say and exactly how to say it to make this person believe at the deepest level of their mind, body, and soul that you can provide everything they're asking for. And it accelerates, it amplifies, and deepens rapport. Lewis says, I want to jump up and go do it. Yes, you do. Here's why this works. Every single thing human beings do is in response to a feeling. It's either a feeling they want more of or a feeling they want a whole lot less of. But your neurology and your unconscious mind have rules that determine what is right and proper in the world for you. And the reward for doing the things that are right and proper in the world for you are these good feelings. In NLP parlance, we call that the checklist that the unconscious mind uses criteria. The value is the name we assign to the feeling that we get. Every single thing human beings do is based on an internal checklist that generates a feeling that we give a name to. Now, when we get back from our offer summarization, I'm going to show you the exact mechanics to use with another human being to emotionally bond them to your product or service. And then we're going to transition very, very quickly into two other techniques. The echo technique, which is built into everything that we're doing. And then we're going to go through the 3 magic questions protocol, which is the exact series of steps in a conversation that you use to go from a complete stranger to deep level intimacy, romantic chemistry, and attraction, and a way to actually separate who would make a good partner from somebody who wouldn't. That's what we're going to do when we come back. Is that fair? Yes or no? Okay, excellent. Yeah, this webinar is very different from the one I did last week, right? Even though it's the same title. But again, this is some cool stuff. Okay, so without any further ado, would it be okay for me to show you the training program I've put together for you to take this from zero to hero in ultimate persuasion mastery in the shortest amount of time possible? Would it be okay to share that with you? Cool. All right. So without further ado, dun, da, 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 da. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. Who wants to take things to the next level? Type it in the chat. If you are ready, type I'm ready in the chat. Most of you are already shouting, yes, just show it. Get it over with, David. Come on. Ready. Excellent. And so without further ado, I present to you, with your permission, the Secrets of Human Influence Ultra Persuasion Training Home Study Package. This is a program that I put together especially for people who are not as able to travel to live events as I would like. You can ask any of the veterans in our class that the biggest bang for your buck always comes from being at the live events. But enough people came up to me over the course of the last 10 years to say, hey, David, I just logistically can't get to a live event. What do I do instead? What's the best second choice? Well, now because of COVID, we have virtual trainings, which we'll talk about. But this is the program that I've put together for people who want the full course meal, from the appetizer to the main course to the desserts and all the other possibilities. If you follow this program, your life will change. If you take one piece of this program, your life will change. But let me kind of explain to you exactly what we're doing here, okay? The Secrets of Human Influence program is really all about taking your life to the next level. It's about helping you make more money, getting more dates, to help more people in your life to overcome their problems, to be more confident and powerful and win the game of life. If you've ever fantasized or really had a deep desire inside of you to become more charming and charismatic and irresistible, this is actually the fastest, most direct route to becoming that person, the person you want to be, the person who moves through the world radiating magnetic influence and charisma that can lead and motivate and inspire people and be the best version of themselves and get everything in life that they want by helping other people get what they want in a perfectly win-win, ethical, and very, very charismatic way. This is probably one of the most transformational programs, our groups of programs that we put together. But don't take my word for it. There are people on the chats, there are people in the groups and the Zoom rooms who have been using the coursework. They have the courses, they've been to the live trainings, they're using the events. Ask these people what their experiences have been. Okay, so here's what I put together for you. Now, I got, as with anything, one of the big things you're going to talk about when we get into killer influence is that no human beings don't do anything without a deadline and without consequences. So this offer is good all day today until 11:59 p.m. I'm sorry, which is, today is December 22nd. That's a typo. So I apologize. It should be December 22nd, 2020. It expires at 11:59 p.m. So you have, you have that time to think about it. But I would recommend that if this is something you realize is exactly what you want for yourself, then grab on it. People are already asking how much. If people want to put the link in, they can just go ahead and grab one of the early birds, because there's some other bonuses for fast actors that we have. But I'm gonna go through this. Now, a couple of things. This is the Secrets of Human Influence main course. This is based on our Killer Influence program. We taught in 2014. This is a 17 video course that includes the 7-stage universal persuasion protocol. It's going to teach you how to think like a master influencer. Master influencers have a very different approach to how they organize the steps to their influence and their persuasion. They have different ways of looking at things than the average person does. It's a $297 value. We're going to show you, we gave you a little bit of a sample. We're going to show you how to control your psycho-emotional state at will, anytime, anywhere, and utilize the power of that state to activate the person's mirror neurons and have them actually go into the state you want them to be in. And one of the byproducts of this training now is that no one will ever be able to push your buttons for any length of time ever again. It's one of the nice side effects of doing these particular state control drills. A lot of people are asking about good drills. This is all about drills. You do the drills, you get the skills. We're going to teach you the power rapport skills for connecting with anyone, anytime, anywhere. And many of the people on the call today will tell you that they've used this over the internet with the cameras off and still gotten it to work. It's a $297 value. We're going to give you all the drills for that. We're going to teach you the 7 most powerful, most irresistible hypnotic language patterns that exist. Patterns that literally force the mind of the person listening to you to do exactly what you want them to do. You can literally, with one pattern, you can learn how to make people's focus of attention and awareness do whatever you want it to do or go wherever you want it to go. You can have them begin to automate certain types of thinking patterns in their mind automatically, even if they know you're trying to do it to them. A lot of times they can't stop the initial effect. We're going to show you how to force a person's internal pictures to be whatever you want them to be. What if you could have the ability to make a person's movies, the movies they're making inside their head, be exactly what you want them to be in a way that they completely accept it and have zero resistance whatsoever. We're going to show you how to make, using another language pattern, how to make anything you want cause anything you want in the mind of the listener. We're going to show you how, with another language pattern, we're going to show you how to make anything you want mean anything you want in the minds of your listener, even when they know you're doing it. That's the point, is there's certain key language patterns. There's about 7 total. You can throw the rest away. You have these 7, no one can stop you. It will dramatically elevate compliance. It will turn every single thing you say into an irresistible, enjoyable, compelling, hypnotic instruction and command. Okay, you can use this in writing, you can use this in texting, you can use this in video, you can use this, you can use these patterns any place language is used. So letters, emails, you name it, you can use it. And that's just some of what you're gonna learn in the language component portion. That's before we teach you all the other really cool stuff. That's a $297 value. I've created whole courses just around these 7 patterns. Right? We're going to show you in explicit detail how to manage the emotional states of others so that you can get people feeling the way you need them to feel, so they're willing to actively eager to do what you want them to do. It's a $297 value. We're going to teach you how to hijack someone's internal behavior code. For every single behavior human beings engage in, there's a pattern to it. There's a structure to it. And once you know how to become aware of that pattern, you can actually take whatever you want them to do or want them to believe, plug it into their structure, and they'll run it like their own program. They'll literally have the same results from in those behaviors. It's really, really powerful. We're going to show you, once again, how to emotionally bond anyone's deepest desires to getting them to do what you want them to do. In other words, you're going to show them in a very explicit, very powerful, emotional way how to get everything they want on their emotional bonding checklist by doing what you want to do. You're going to be able to show them in a very powerful way how everything you have to offer satisfies their deepest, most powerful, most compelling emotional needs, and they will want to buy or to do what you want them to do. Not because you told them to, but because they realized that this is the way to get everything you want. Okay. We're going to also include the Killer Influence Master Text. The Killer Influence Master Text is the manual I created for this program. It's over 200 pages, and it has additional modules in it. Modules on social influence, the 5 key social hypnotic operators that society programs into every human being that causes them to behave in very robotic, automated ways. I'm going to show you how they work, how they're being used on you, and how you can begin to tap into them to free yourself from unconscious control outside of yourself. And you can build these things into your normal everyday interactions so that people just naturally do what you want by default. We're going to show you the power of proxemic hypnotic operators. This is the ability to manage the spatial relationships around you so that you can actually cause people to psychologically position themselves, or you can psychologically position yourself in the minds of your subjects and your audience in such a way that they become automatically predisposed to assigning more authority, more believability, more credibility to you. We're going to show you where to sit at a negotiation table to have the biggest, most authoritative, most credible impact. We're going to show you where to put the people who are against you in the positions of the weakest power, so that when they try to fight you, when they try to argue against your position, they're coming from the weakest power position possible. So we're going to show you how to amplify those things. We're going to teach you how to cold read people, so you can look and face read people, so you can look at people and make very powerful statements about who they are and their mind and their personality profile that causes them to just become hyper suggestible to you. We're going to teach you the 4 pillars of irresistible hypnotic influence, the 4 key major areas of influence: authority, attractivity, affinity, and acquiescence, that will generate awesome and unstoppable compliance on their own. But when you combine them, it not only forces people to want to do what you want them to do, it makes them eager for your validation and approval. It's very, very powerful. And if you apply these things together, people just do what you say. It's almost unfair, but it's completely ethical. We're going to show you something that's a little bit more gray hat. We're going to teach you something called DRTs. DRTs stand for dirty, rotten tricks, right? And dirty, rotten tricks are a little bit more naughty type of influence tactics that can help you win the day when you're going up against some of these more unscrupulous manipulators, these more dark triad narcissistic motherfuckers who are kind of playing dirty pool. We'll show you how to kind of spot the dirty pool, and we'll show you some kind of more, I don't want to say aggressive, but a little bit more proactive techniques that you can begin to layer into your interactions so that you can make sure you come out of that interaction getting your outcome. So it's the Killer Influence Master Test. It's a $418 value, and we're going to include that as part of your basic training. You're also going to get access, and we're going to talk about this a little later in the offer, you're going to get access to our NLP Power Mastermind mentoring community, which is where you get the hands-on training. You'll be able to actually roll up your sleeves, practice with other people face-to-face or virtually, and get feedback from me and from your peers on how the techniques are working, how they can make them better, how you can make them more useful for out in the streets. Priceless, because this is where the rubber hits the road. This is where you go from interesting information to unstoppable persuasion. This is where you make what I call the second payment. I always tell my clients and my students that for everything you get from me, you're always going to pay twice. The first payment's the easy one. That's the money. You can always make more money, especially if you have this training. That gives you access to the information. But it's the second payment, the payment of time, energy, effort, of doing the drills and getting the skills. The second payment gives you ownership. So, and once you have it, those skills will serve you and they will help you and they will aid you every time you make the choice to use them, right? So always make that second payment. And if you do that, you're going to be successful. The only thing I can't guarantee is time and degree, but it will happen, okay? I like to say these results are not typical, but unfortunately or fortunately, they kind of are if you use the skills, okay? We're also, so the total value, if you were to kind of put this all together, is $2,497. But as you can probably guess, there's actually a lot more going on here than just this course. This is where we start. This is the basic stuff, right? Once you have this, we're going to teach you and get some really cool other skill sets that amplify and magnify what you're getting, and we're going to do it through some very special exclusive bonuses. The first one is called Weapons of Mass Instruction. This is a course that I created based on the neuroscience of narrative. Now, what do I mean by that? One of the most powerful persuasion tools in human history is the power of story. And I knew that from very early on in my persuasion career. Unfortunately, every time I tried to learn how to use stories effectively, I got the same watered down, Ericksonian, confusion-laced BS. Or sometimes the person would have a little bit more on the ball. They'd start to tell me about something called the hero's journey. Well, I'm going to tell you right up front that if you're using the hero's journey as a template for creating powerful stories, you're going east looking for a sunrise, or west looking for a sunrise. Weapons of Mass Instruction is the course I would have wanted to attend if I could have found it. I couldn't find it, so I made it. This is all about the neuroscience of storytelling and metaphor. We've divided it into 5 different modules. The first module is the neuroscience-based approach to using stories to connect with other human beings. And these are very simple stories that you tell in a line at Starbucks, at a line to a movie theater, when we go back to the movie theater, when you're doing webinars or online with people. These are very simple vignettes that have the power to automatically bond you to a complete stranger, right? We call these connecting stories. These are small talk type stories. If you start with and they allow you to bridge into the 3 magic questions protocol and things of that nature that we're going to be sharing with you, or things that you can tell within the framework of the 3 magic questions protocol that allow people to bond very, very quickly. That's module 1. Module 2 is all about what we call stories designed for sales and leadership. These are what we call alpha stories. Alpha stories are the ability to motivate, inspire, to add more persuasion push to the presentation that you're making. So think of it like this. If let's say that we have to move a 50-pound filing cabinet across the room, all right? And so I go to push and I can't move it, right? So I dig down, I change my stance, and I push harder. Alpha stories are the push harder types of stories. They're stories that add more push to your persuasion message. Very powerful. A lot of people learn how to do these stories, right? If you're doing any kind of sales, any kind of leadership type of training, any kind of teaching, these are going to be very, very powerful stories for you. They're designed for leading, inspiring, motivating. We're going to teach you the structure of how they work. We're going to teach you the different archetypes of the story and the exact steps necessary to make one powerful and effective, how to choose a context, things of that nature. The next type of story that we're going to talk about is not one that is commonly talked about. In fact, it's almost unknown outside of certain circles. And these are called omega stories. Omega stories are stories that are designed to resolve and reduce resistance to information, resistance to persuasion, okay? It's based largely on the work of Dr. Eric Knowles, who wrote a book called Resistance and Persuasion. It's a very, before you go rushing out to buy it, I'm gonna tell you right up front, it's an amazing book, but it's very dry because it's basically cover to cover nothing but research summaries of the results of persuasion techniques designed to do one very simple thing: remove resistance to influence. So think of it this way. Alpha stories are about adding more push to your message. Omega stories are like removing the friction or the resistance to the persuasion that you're delivering. And one of the things you need to understand about the power of story and narrative is that it's never directly perceived as an attempt at influence. When you start telling a story, people's brains automatically synchronize with the person telling the story. And the deeper that entrainment goes, the more absorbed into the process they get, the more the story starts to change people's attitudes, beliefs, and opinions in the background. Okay? So again, communication stories, level 1. Alpha stories, level 2. Omega stories, level 3. Okay? Now, so again, just to quick summarize, alpha stories give us more push. If I'm pushing a filing cabinet, I dig deeper, I get stronger, I add more energy to the push. Omega stories are like, if I have to move this big ass filing cabinet, I throw oil on the floor in front of the filing cabinet, and now it just slides for me, right? That's what Omega stories do, okay? Now, the next module is the construction or bulletproofing or pressure testing the stories you create. There are 6 key neurological phenomena that you want to tap into to make a story irresistible. The technical term for a story's ability to influence and persuade, ironically, is called transportability. Transportability. There are 6 key characteristics, 6 elements that you need to build into a story to make it irresistible, regardless of whether you're doing an alpha story, an omega story, a communication story, what have you. We're going to show you exactly what these 6 steps are. We're going to show you how to test for them. And we're actually going to give you a questionnaire that once you have your story created, one of the things that a lot of my personal injury clients use is focus groups. You can actually present this story to a focus group. After you've told the story, you can hand them this questionnaire and have them rate those 6 characteristics. And you can get a pretty good forecast of how that story is going to impact the audience you're presenting it to. So that's kind of like module 5. And then finally, we're going to talk about something called ninja stories. Now, if you've ever been to any of these high-level seminars that turn into what Pitch Fest, where people are telling, like, I guess one of the best, like T. Harv Eker, Mark Victor Hansen, Robert Allen, Lisa Sasevich, John Asseroff. Let's see here. Who else can I think about? Pretty much any of the marketing gurus out there, right? They all start telling stories. Now, a lot of these people out there, they have graduated programs, like where you go from the beginner and then you get to the trainer's training, right? Like T.R. Eker has an actual trainer's program, right? Well, one of the things you need to understand is that when you go through those kinds of trainer's programs, they're only going to teach you the first level of what they're doing. They're going to teach you how to create an offer. They're going to teach you how to create a talk. They're going to give you that stuff. That's all very exoteric. It's not the real meat behind what's going on. Embedded within the structure of their presentations are all of these hidden hypnotic operators, these secret techniques and tactics that are built into the structure of the story. And they will never tell you that they're using these things, and they will never teach them to you. They will teach you the outer shell, but not the inner meat. In this particular course, one of the things that we do is we take transcripts from some of these high-level presenters, and we literally deconstruct them. We show you all the hidden hypnotic operators, all the hidden NLP, all the language patterns, all the presuppositions, all the behavioral priming, all the semantic priming, all the confusion inductions. We show you exactly from a transcript of their actual presentations, the ones where they have people getting up and stampeding to the back of the room to buy and buy and buy, right? We're going to show you exactly how they're doing it and what that looks like in the real world so that A, you can be aware of it and guard against it, and B, so you can actually use it. So you can actually take the material and build, and in whatever way is ethical for you, build it into your presentations to make them even more irresistible. We call it weapons of mass instruction, okay? You have to have the 17 video course first, the Secrets of Human Influence basic course, for you to make heads or tails of this particular module. But this is going to take everything, the nuclear powered stuff that you learned in the first course and expand it even more. You'll see the world. I mean, a lot of people are both, when they go through that piece, are simultaneously fascinated and horrified when they realize they've actually been hammered with this stuff and bought because of it and didn't realize what was being done. So they appreciate it, but there's also kind of, oh my God, they're actually doing this. And you'll see it when you start going out to people's talks and things, they don't just jump out at you, right? So what we call it weapons of mass instruction, and you can use it to make every training that you give, every presentation just pop and gain the compliance and install and help people learn and prime them to do what you want them to do, right? Soup to nuts. You have exactly what you need. That's one of the bonuses that we're going to include for free in this course. It's a $1,750 value, okay? But we're not done there. If you look at the total value here, we're going to give this to you free. It's $1,950 value. It's yours free. Total value combined so far is $4,447 if you register before the end of the webinar, okay? But let's suppose, let me ask you a question really quick. You ever ask somebody to do something Type this in the chat. You ever asked somebody to do something and they said no? Type in the chat if that's ever happened to you, right? And then they told you why they said no, right? What do you think would happen if for every reason they gave you for why they didn't want to do what you wanted them to do, you had at least 14 different responses to get them to change their mind? Would that be useful? Some people are already asking to register. Brandon, can you throw the links in there? Go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. Apparently, we're striking some nerves here. Okay. Those of you who are signing up early, there's some super early bird stuff that you're going to get that I haven't talked about yet. So if you grab it before I get there, it's even better. Okay. One second. Okay. People in the Zoom are getting the link early, so I want to be fair to my people on YouTube. Okay. But here's what else we're going to get. So would it be cool if you had 14 different ways that you could just completely destroy that objection or completely change their belief in normal conversation? If you had 14 different bullets in your gun, would that be useful? That's what we're going to give you next. This is called Renegade Reframing, how to overcome any objection or change any belief in seconds. It's a $1,950 value. It's yours free. This is the course you would use if you screwed up criteria and values, if you screwed up the emotional bonding checklist and started getting objections. Okay, this is where you would go next. By the way, you only ever really need this if you screwed up the emotional bonding, because that's about the only time you're going to get an objection to what you want. But if you missed it, and shit happens, then this is going to be the answer. Now, for those of you who are therapists, those of you who are coaches, those of you who are marketers or direct response copywriters, this is going to be one of the most invaluable tools that you've ever had. And here's why. One of the most powerful things you can do when you're promoting your business is write sales copy. Now, when you write sales copy, one of the most powerful things you can do to get good copy that's relevant to the people that you want to help is you need to step into their world and see the world through their eyes, right? We call that having an avatar, right? And then you can start to talk as the person having the experience. And one of the most powerful things you do is you write your copy or your marketing messages from that perspective. And then what will happen is you'll start to generate all the reasons, all the objections that people might have for not wanting to do what you want them to do. If you have the Renegade Reframing system in place, for every objection that comes up in your mind that your clients might have, you have 14 different ways to answer that objection. And you just pick the ones that you think are the biggest, most powerful, most effective for you, and you write those into your sales copy before the clients or the customers have ever had a chance to read it. And so you voice the objection, you answer the objection before they have it, and then they just say yes. That's, again, if you're just worried about winning arguments and getting and one-upping people in everyday interactions, this will work for you. If you want to take this to a higher level and help people overcome problems and limiting beliefs that they have, you've got 14 different, and I'll show you. We actually include in this particular course, we actually include a card game that we created called the Reframe Game, where it's literally like, I'll state a belief, I'll throw down a reframe card in front of my partner, and they have to beat my objection or change my belief using that particular reframe. It's included in the manual. So you just print them out, cut them up, and you can just practice blasting each other and changing beliefs and overcoming objections like you would play war or poker or card game. It's really fun, and it really drives these patterns into your psyche so that you can use them on demand anywhere, okay? We're gonna give you the entire process free. Okay. Does this product include all of my past courses? No. It includes exactly what I'm explaining here. So again, very powerful, but you must have the basic program. You've got to have a thorough understanding and a thorough training in the Universal Persuasion Protocol so that you can deploy these tactics organically and powerfully, right? okay? It's a $1,950 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. Total value so far, $6,397 if you register before the end of the webinar. Finally, how many of you, just as a show of hands, actually do any form of public speaking? Sherry Ann says, love it. Sounds like I can play the reframe game. Yes. In fact, if your kids have reasons for, maybe they're getting bullied, maybe they're feeling bad about themselves, this is a great way for you to have them reframe and change their perspectives on things in a very gentle way. In the Renegade Reframing course, we actually show you 2 different ways to utilize all of the patterns. One is a very permissive, maternal, gentle, loving way, and another way is a more beat them over the head and win our, a very combative kind of way. And you can choose based on the situation which elements are actually more appropriate in the context you're working in. So once again, so we got a bunch of people. Okay, so for those of you who make your living in any form of public speaking, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, the fastest way to build your business, both long-term and short-term, let me look at you in the eyes again for this. The fastest way to build your business, long-term and short-term, with the minimum amount of money, like a shoestring marketing budget, the fastest way to build your business is through public speaking, okay? That's the 99% of the people on this webinar today are here because of videos I did from a free public event where I demonstrated my skills, I gave people the information that they needed, I showed them how to make change, and I did it in a fun, entertaining, and educational way. The course that I'm showing you now is called Charisma and Conversion, or Charisma on Command. And it's a course designed specifically to teach you the art and science of hypnotic public speaking, how to generate massive authority, affinity, attraction, charisma, to get people to do what you want them to do, how to deploy and leverage hypnotic technique from the stage with an audience. Now, you remember when we talked about weapons of mass instruction, we talked about the power of story and how these high-level speakers build all of these high-level NLP techniques into their stories and their metaphors and things of that nature to prime the audience to take an action, to believe a certain way, or to install certain skill sets. In Charisma on Command, what we're going to teach you to do is everything else. We're going to teach you how to stand, where to stand, how to spatial anchor, how to create we have 2 very powerful, very different presentation templates that we're going to share with you for small groups and large groups that have an 80 to 90%. I shouldn't say that. This is one of my daughter's stress balls, in case you were wondering. I might throw this in as anybody who I might do an autographed stress ball for anybody who wants to join this package. But basically what this is, it's not a class on stage hypnosis. It's a class on how to use hypnotic techniques like high-level speakers do from the stage, okay? So you'll learn basic stagecraft, how to hold a microphone, where to stand, how to move, state control how to get rapport with an audience, generate compliance on command. We'll show you 2 very different public speaking templates, persuasion architecture, if you will. One is designed for small groups, one is designed for very large groups, okay? One is good if you're doing any kind of medical or therapy-based presentation. The other is for more of a heart-centered biz ops or skill development process type of a presentation, very heart-centered. So we'll teach you all of those templates, and you'll come out of that training with an actual 90-minute talk that you can use on demand anytime, anywhere. And just like in weapons of mass instruction, we're also going to show you the ninja story stuff. We're going to show you exactly how these NLP techniques are utilized within the context of a story and in stagecraft to create very powerful compliance in your audience. So once again, this is again for people who want to get up on stage and be ultra charismatic and have people rushing to the back of the room to buy your stuff, sign up for a free consultation, get your free gifts, whatever. And I also teach in this particular course, I also teach you all of my secret YouTube strategies, all the things that I did to take the content I created on my free live events and have them hit the number 2 and 3 spots and number 1 spots on my website, on my YouTube channel, which is where the vast majority of you came from. You came from a live event utilizing this material. And I'm going to show you step by step how I did it. So for those of you who have a business and want to take it to the next level, but don't have a huge marketing budget, this is how you leverage all the content you create. And you should never be doing a public talk of any kind without a video recorder running. I'm going to give you that for free right up front. You should never be doing any presentation, any podcast, whether it's for you. In other words, if you're a guest host on somebody else's podcast, you should have your own recording running so you can leverage that content. There should never be a time when you're presenting that you don't have a recorder going. I'm going to tell you that right up front, because it's been the biggest single source of my success as a trainer, is all that content. I just had the camera running. I never knew how I would use it. I never knew when I would use it. It has transformed everything. Okay. It doesn't matter if you think it's shitty. In fact, many times the shittier you think it is, the more people like it. So again, take that for what it's worth. Okay. But we're going to give you this. We're going to give it to you absolutely free if you're one of the next 15 people to sign up. Total value, it's a $1,950 value. It's yours absolutely free. Total combined value of the package we're offering you today so far is $8,347. So let's just recap really quick, because we've been talking a while. We're going to give you today the 17 video, 7-stage universal persuasion protocol valued at $2,079. We're going to throw in that Killer Influence Master Text that has all those extra modules in it. It's a $418 value. We're going to give you access to our online NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring community. It's absolutely priceless. We're going to give you absolutely free the Weapons of Mass Instruction Neuroscientific Storytelling Secrets recorded live, $1,950 value. We're going to give it to you free. Right? We're going to give you Renegade Reframing, Objection Obliteration, and Speed Conversational Belief Change, $1,950 value. And then finally, we're going to throw in that Charisma on Command, Hypnotic Presentation Skills for Presenters and Public Speakers. It's a $1,950 value. Total value today, if you were to go to try and buy, and by the way, a lot of these you cannot buy on the website. If you were to go to look for like Weapons of Mass Instruction or Renegade Reframing or Charisma on Command, I actually don't think you would find them on our website. I think right now the only way you can get these is through our webinars. That may have changed, but last I looked, they weren't there. So the only place you can get these is through this webinar today. Total value is $8,347. But today I want to get, because it's the holidays, right? This is the last time I'm going to get to talk to you before the new year. Officially, I may pop on unofficially, but I want to give you the best deal humanly possible today. So you're not going to have to pay $8,347. In fact, you're not even going to have to pay $6,347. You're not going to have to pay $53.47 or even $33.47. We're not even going to charge you $2,347. For those of you who want to take advantage of this super ultra persuasion home study course today, you can get it all for a low one-time investment of just $997. And if money's a little tight until your COVID check comes in or whatever, you can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397. All you have to do to take advantage of this course and get started right now is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. Can we get the link in there for you? Thank you. All right. And Stephanie is waiting to help you. If you have any questions, give our amazing administrative goddess, Stephanie Lesman-Skiba, a call at 858-282-4663. Let me put that in the YouTube chat for people, 858-282-4663. And then, oops, that's not what I wanted. And I don't see the link showing up for our YouTubers, so let me go ahead and put that in the chat. It's http://www.killerinfluence.com/go. And by all means, if you want to be one of the first few to grab this, and people are already asking, just click that link and you can go ahead and take advantage of this amazing offer, right? Now, some people are asking, well, David, I might have, I already have some of these courses. If you already have one of the courses offered in the package, as long as you can swap that out for any other course on our website or in our catalog, as long as the price points are the same. So let's say for some mysterious reason, you've already got CPI-2, which is the Weapons of Mass Instructions, $1,950, $1,497 value. But you don't have identity by design or vibrational influence. If the price points are the same, which I think they are, you can just tell Stephanie, hey, can I swap it out for XYZ product? And as long as the price points are close or similar, it's not a problem there. You can customize your package. So all you got to do to grab a hold of that is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. Okay. These are all recordings. Yes. These are all recordings of live trainings I was doing. Okay. And we're going to talk about live trainings. I think, and as much as I love this program, and I think everybody's going to benefit from it, especially now with all the COVID restrictions and the travel restrictions and everything, you need this now more than ever. Live events are still going to be the fastest way for you to take this in and get the biggest bang for your buck. Now, if you're on the fence, I want you to understand that everything that we're offering you today comes with a 90-day guarantee. Okay. I don't waste my time on low percentage technique, and neither should you. I guarantee that if you take the time to do this techniques, if you take the time to use them and practice them and actually deploy them out in the real world, they will work. Okay. And if they don't work, I don't want your money. I'm going to give it back. If you're not making more money, closing more deals, moving towards more for financial freedom, if you're not getting more of the dates, the social interactions, the compliance, everything that you want, if you're not feeling more powerful and feeling less powerless, if you feel like you actually have an ability to get more of what you want, and you're less of getting denied what you want, awesome. But if you're not getting the results that we're saying that you're going to get, give us a call. We'll coach you. If after the coaching it's not working, we'll give you your money back. Okay. If this stuff isn't working for you, I don't want your money. I don't want your funds. I want you to take those resources and use them towards something that will work for you. So try it for a full 90 days. If you're not 100% satisfied with the results that you're getting, and they're continuing to get better, because they will, give us a call and we'll either swap the product out for you or we'll give you your money back. That's and you can keep the downloadable courses, right? It's, again, if it's working, keep using. If it works, I know you'll be back. So I'm not worried. So all you got to do to grab yours is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go, www.killerinfluence.com/go. I'm just going to keep pasting the links there. Okay. Now, and if this wasn't already a really good deal, some of you who when we were asking for how much and where's the link and yada, 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 you're going to be so glad you did that. For those of you who grab your course before December 22nd, 2020 at 11:59 p.m., we're going to include these following extra bonuses for you. First one we're going to give you is a 3-month free mastermind to our NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program. Now, let me explain to you a little bit about what this is. It's a $594 value, but once you hear me explain it, you're going to realize it's actually way more valuable than that. So what do we do on the NLP Power Mastermind is the world's longest running free, it's not free, it's paid group. It's an NLP Mastermind Mentoring Program. We've been running it nonstop on the third Saturday of every month since 2010. And then literally what happens on the third Saturday of every month, we get together. Genesis, if you have a question, email Stephanie@nlppower.com and she will answer it for you. What we literally do on the third Saturday of every month, and this was before COVID, we're still doing it during COVID, but not face-to-face. We're doing it virtually. We meet on the third Saturday of every month. I literally go around there and I said, Kate, what do you want to learn? Genesis, what do you want to learn? Jason, what do you want to learn? Jacob, what do you want to learn? Catherine, what do you want to learn? Right? Allegra, what do you want to learn? Holly, what do you want to learn? Stephanie, what do you want to learn? Laura, what do you want to learn? And I write it on a board. And when I'm done looking at everybody's questions, I look where they all kind of intersect and connect. I create the lesson plan on the spot. And then for the next 3 or 4 hours, sometimes 6 hours, depending on the day, I drill you guys on those skills until you can do them in your sleep. Okay. So when you join the NLP Power Mastermind, you don't get a certificate. You get the opportunity to practice with your peers, with people who have problems that they want to solve, and you get trained and drilled on specifically how to fix those problems in 3 or 4 hours. We give you the exact tools, and we drill you as much as we can in the time that we have, okay? And then you go out and you deploy those skills in your life, and you fix your problems. You come back next month, and I'm going to ask, what do you want to learn? 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 And you know what? We're going to do the same thing. We're going to look at where they all connect. We're going to create the lesson plan on the spot, and we're going to drill you on those techniques until you can do those. Okay? It is one of the most fun, powerful, and empowering things that our members have experienced. And I've got to be honest with you. I've been teaching this group, running this group for 10 years. It is probably one of the single biggest reasons why I can do so many different things that I can do in as many different contexts and environments and situations as I can. Because every single month I get people asking me about all these different topics, and I got to find a way to connect them, link them, and create a lesson plan that amplifies the skill set and teach it. That's putting me on the spot every single month, and it's fun, right? And if you really want to take your skills to the next level, that hands-on group is going to be the single biggest bonus of all the bonuses that we're sharing with you. Why? Because you get to actually do stuff. You actually get to functionalize those skill sets. Okay. You won't get a certificate. You'll get a skill set, right? This is priceless. This is what separates the persuasion enthusiast or the persuasion knowledge collector from the persuasion operator, the person who can actually go out into the world and create change. This is where the rubber hits the road. So if that's you, and you want to meet cool people who like to do cool stuff and get your problems solved, this 3-month free trial is going to be awesome for you. Now, if you like it after 3 months, stay. It's only $100 a month. Actually, it's $99 a month. And you get to keep coming back, hang out with your peeps, and go out and do in the world. Now, here's the other thing. I've been running this group nonstop since 2010. Remember what I said when we was talking about charisma on command? Never do a public event without a camera running. We've had a camera running every moment of every single mastermind event we've been running since 2010. We've archived all of that video on our private Facebook group, on the NLP Power website, and a lot of it is now being archived on our platinum and diamond, or on our gold, platinum, and diamond levels YouTube groups. When you're a member of the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program, you get 24-hour-a-day access to that entire 10-year video archive for as long as you want to binge watch stuff that's largely never been released. It's raw video, but you can binge, if you like binge watching the stuff that we released to the general public on YouTube, you're going to love this archive. Okay, you get full unfettered access for the entire 3 months of your trial, and if you decide you want to upgrade and become a regular member, you have access to that content for as long as you're a member in good standing. That's our gift, right? This is, I mean, if you're really serious, okay, if you're committed, I'm committed, right? You show up, I'll show up. That's how it works, okay? And you can ask the people in the group. Sue McKellar is asking, is this a virtual group? I want to join that group. Yes, right now it is a virtual group. Prior to COVID, it was hybrid. We had a virtual audience and we had an in-the-room audience, and we simulcast it, okay? And as soon as COVID's done, we're going back to the live event or the live training with the virtual option. So if you're in the Southern California area, Northern Cal, you want to drive down and participate in the room with us, you can. If you want to check in virtually and participate virtually, you can, right? It's my gift. It's free for you, just for grabbing the Secrets of Human Influence package. Test drive it. See if it works for you. If you like the people, if you like the material and it's getting you what you want, stay. If not, move on to something else. All you got to do to grab it is go to the link to your right there in the chat is www.killerinfluence.com/go. Test drive it for 30 days, right? Or 90 days and see how it works for you, okay? By the way, those of you who are on YouTube, I am going to be probably putting a cap on the diamond level for you guys because the last mastermind we did had 37 people in it, and that's starting to get a little bit outside of my comfort zone without enough people or handlers on the group. So I'm going to start limiting the access to that. If you're already a diamond member, you're going to be grandfathered in. If you're already a mastermind member, you're not going to be ostracized, but we are probably going to start closing off registration until some people drop out So I'm, again, not trying to play a scarcity tactic on you, but even I have my limits in terms of making sure everybody gets the personal attention that they need. But if you want to test drive it, when would now be a good time to click that link in your chat and reserve your seat for the next training? Okay, let's move on because we got more stuff for you, right? So you're going to get that. As you can see, it's way more than a $594 value, right? Total combined value so far is $8,941. We're also going to throw in, for those of you who want to be able to like download something tonight and start hypnotizing people tomorrow, this is our Fast Action Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis course. Yeah, okay. And this is a drill down on the 7 most powerful hypnotic language patterns, instant and rapid inductions, emotional triggers and bonding, 3 magic questions, protocols, things of that nature. This will get you, again, literally you can watch 2 videos and be out using conversational hypnosis on people within a couple of hours. I recommend you take a little bit longer to do the drills, but you could literally get started that quick. This is a fast action bonus. It's a $997 value. It does come with manuals and workbooks, in case you were wondering. And there's some extra bonus videos in that course as well, which you'll discover when you download it. It's a total combined value of $9,938. And for those of you who actually want to be in a room with me, for those of you who want to be get the full experience, and the people in the chats will tell you, as good as our hybrid events are, as good as our video home study courses are, there is nothing like the live event. There is nothing. I mean, they just keep getting better. The people are awesome, and you actually get we actually do 3 times more hands-on than any other trainer in the industry. For those of you who are the next 15 people to grab one of these Ultra Persuasion home study course packages, I'm going to give you absolutely free a VIP super event ticket. This is a ticket that gets you free admission to any single live event of your choice in our 2021-2022 calendar, even if we haven't added it yet. You don't even need to know what event you want to come to. As long as you have that ticket, when you see an event that you want to attend, all you do is pick up the phone, reach out or email to Stephanie, say, hey, Stephanie, I'd like to go to XYZ course. I have this VIP ticket. Can I use it? And with very few exceptions, she's going to say, come on in. Even if the training's full, you get to go. Now, the best thing about our VIP ticket is you don't need to know what training you want. As long as you got the ticket and you can satisfy the requirements for the class, you can come in. If the class is full, you still get to go. We'll find a seat for you. If something comes up at the last minute, you call Stephanie, you say, hey, I want to use this VIP ticket. Can I go? And then at the last minute, COVID restrictions come back. Your boss becomes a flying asshole. There's a death in the family. Somebody's sick. Whatever the reason is, and you can't get to the live event. All you have to do is you pick up the phone or you send Stephanie an email. You say, hey, I was going to come to this event. Something came up. I can't go. She will move you to another training, or she will put you back your ticket back in the database until you choose another training. You have that ticket until you use it. So if you get your ticket today and it takes you 3 years to come to a live event, you pick up the phone, you say, Stephanie, I bought this ticket on a webinar 3 years ago. I want to come to this training. She'll say, come on in. You have it until you use it. If the cost of the training goes up between now and those 3 years, it doesn't matter. You still get to go. The price of the event no longer matters, right? There are some restrictions. If the event is over 7 days or over, there's usually a little extra fee because we base our pricing around 3 and 5 day events. Certain classes that we teach, like vibrational influence or NLP certification, have prerequisites to get in. You can use that VIP ticket, but you have to satisfy the prerequisites before we'll let you use the ticket for that event. Those are the only restrictions that we have. The other thing is, if I'm co-hosting an event with somebody, there's usually a little extra fee because we take the hit, but the trainer that we're co-hosting with doesn't. That's going to go away pretty soon because we're not going to be doing a lot of those events with other people. But those are the only real restrictions, and Stephanie can give you the details on those. But by and large, do you intend on holding some live events outside? Yes, 100%. We have every intention of getting back to the UK. We'd like to go to Amsterdam. We have plans to be in Australia in May or June. We may even go back to Greece or Cyprus. We have a rain check on Canada. So yes, we have and the VIP tickets are good for those events as well, which brings me to another question. One of the things you'll notice when you look at some of our events in other parts of the world, like the UK or the EU, all of our seminar tuitions are based on the local currency. So if you're attending a training in the UK, it's going to be in pound sterling. If you're attending a training in the EU, it's going to be in euros. So, and the exchange rate is significantly higher for that. So it's technically more expensive for those of us in the US and Canada and Australia to go to those events in Europe. However, if you have a VIP ticket, that doesn't matter anymore. You still get to go, right? You show up, in fact, the last training, the 5-day killer influence that we did in the UK 3 years ago, I had like 7 people show up from the United States using their VIP tickets. So, and again, we were charging like 2,300 euro or something, or 2,300 pounds for that. So again, we have every intention of, there's some of the benefits of the VIP tickets. We don't offer them all the time. So if it's something that you want to do, you want to get the one-on-one interaction, the feedback, build a support network for yourself, this is the best way to get that started, okay? And you combine that, you take that live event, you take the video courses that are based on that live event, and then you integrate that into your mastermind, and now you have the best overall training platform for becoming your absolute best version of yourself, becoming a master of influence, because everything you get is being reinforced by the other aspects of the program, okay? So again, for those of you who want to take advantage of that, it's only for the first 15 people who register for the Secrets of Human Influence training package. And that goes away, by the way, that goes away when I sign off the webinar. As soon as I click the end button on the webinar, that VIP ticket is no longer available. You'll still be able to get the rest of the package because the deadline for that is 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, but the VIP ticket is off the table. The VIP ticket is only for people who are truly committed, who want the very best for themselves. If that's you, you know what to do. Just click the link in your chats or reach out to Stephanie directly at 858-282-4663 or email her directly. If you call and the line's busy, it's because everybody else is calling too. Keep calling. Just keep calling until you get through. She will get back to you. But make sure that when you call, you leave a message. Every now and then people call and they just hang up. Leave your contact information. She will get back to you within 24 hours, if not sooner. If your name is on that queue, then you will qualify for the bonus ticket. But if it isn't, not so much, guys, okay? I try to make it as easy as I can. Leave a message, right? I try to make it as easy as I can, but at the end of the day, this is a partnership. You show up, I'll show up. I'm going to show up even if you don't show up, but other people will. So make sure nobody else gets your seat. Grab yours before they're gone, okay? Because we're limiting this to only 15 people. We had over like 20 somewhere between 16 and 20 people didn't get in last time. So go ahead and take advantage of that, okay? So that's what I got. Total value of everything we've talked about today is $11,888. So once again, for those of you who are interested, you're going to get the Secrets of Human Influence home study course valued at $2,079. We're going to give you the Secrets of Human Influence Killer Influence Master Text, $418 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. We're going to give you Weapons of Mass Instruction, $1,950 value, 100% free. We're going to give you Objection Obliteration, $1,950 value, absolutely free. We're going to give you Charisma and Conversion, Hypnotic Presentation Skills for Speakers and Presenters, $1,950 value. We're going to give it to you free. You're going to get a free 3-month trial membership to the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Program and unlimited access to the entire NLP Power video training archive. It's over $594 value. We're going to give it to you absolutely free. You're going to get access to the monthly meetings as well as the archive. We're also going to include for you fast action takers a stealth instant conversational hypnosis crash course valued at $997. We're going to give it to you free. and we're going to give you that VIP super ticket, which gives you your choice of any single live event in our 2020 or 2020 or 2021 or 2022 calendar, which isn't even out yet. So, you know, if you don't know what you want right now, stay tuned. We're going to be adding more classes, and you can come to any single live event. If you can't get there if you want to come to an event, but you're limited by your COVID restrictions, you can attend it virtually using your ticket. I would pay the freight for the virtual event and keep that VIP ticket to come in person. But it's up to you how you want to use it. You can even gift it to people. You can even gift it to somebody if you want to. Just let us know who you're gifting it to, so we have their name in our database. So we're going to give that to you absolutely free, but that's only for the first 15 people who enroll in the course or buy the Super Influence training package today. So total value, or total installment is $997. You're looking at $11,888 worth of good stuff. And that's not even counting what you're going to make from deploying these skills. Or if $997 is a little outside of your budget right away, you can break that up into 3 easy installments of just $397. And all you got to do is click that link in your chat box right there, or type into your browser www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. If you have a question, call Stephanie 858-282-4663. That's 858-282-4663. If the line is busy, leave a message with your name and callback information. She will get back to you. If you put your name and your contact information on the message, and one of those 15 slots is available, probably not, but if it's available, you will qualify for that VIP ticket. But if we can't get back to you, we can't help you. All right. We're good at what we do, but we can't multiply zeros. You got to do some stuff too. All right. So just go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to take any questions that you have while you guys are filling out your buying your programs and stuff like that. We're going to take a 5 or 6 minute potty break, so you guys can get the pressure out of your bladders from all the caffeinated substances you've been imbibing. Then we're going to come back and we're going to drill down once again. Oh, Kate says, I bought the package last week and I want a signed stress ball. Okay. Next time I see you, you will have a signed stress ball made by my daughter or me. I helped her with her project, and I will sign it in a Sharpie for you. Okay. Anybody who wants, anybody who grabs one of those packages, I have a shit ton of these homemade stress balls from my daughter's craft project. Yes, we do take PayPal. Reach out to Stephanie directly. And I think you can actually use PayPal if you use this link. There's probably a PayPal option on that page. I'll sign the stress ball in Sharpie, and okay. Again, when you buy your package, let Stephanie know you want a stress ball, and I will autograph them, and we will include that. We'll ship it to you somehow, some way. Or if I see you at a live event, I'll give it to you there. All right. Cool. All right. I'm going to take a 5-minute potty break. When we come back, I'll answer whatever questions you have, or Stephanie or some of our alumni can answer those questions. Then if it's okay with you, I want to get back to teaching you cool stuff. Would that be okay? Is that useful? Self-signed stress balls for $50 a piece. Let me think about that one, Agnes. Let me think about that one. All right. We'll see you in 5 minutes. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer before while we're on break? Happy to do it. What would now be a good time to ask those questions? How do you get access to the course in your town? It's very simple. You go to www.nlppower.com. There should be a place in the upper right-hand corner. Now, let me just show you on my screen. You know what, that might just be easier. All right, so here we go. All right, so this is our website. Look at that handsome devil there, right? So you're going to go to here. And if you scroll down, let me make this bigger. Hold on a second. Log in. And then you would log in. Hold on a second. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Anyway, you wouldn't go to this page, but if you go to where it says your account, there's my products. And then all the products that you've purchased or you have as a bonus will be here. Okay. So again, some of you, this is TMI. Some of you, this is common sense. But if it's not, if you go into your products page and it's not there, call Stephanie. Please do that again. I missed it. Okay. Watch again. So skip this part because you won't get this. But if you go to your My Account, you navigate. So again, you go to your log in. Under your My Products page, you should find every course you have clearance for. Okay. As you see, I have quite a few of them, right? This is also, while we're on this is also one of the reasons why at the live events, we always say before you sign up for any of our big training packages, you come and talk to us first. Because when you joined our webinar, when you joined our event, you had a very specific set of outcomes in mind. Once we get to know you and we know what you want to achieve, we can show you the minimum number of courses to take to get the skill sets you want. Otherwise, if you're just coming in looking at this, you have no idea at all where to start. So this is one of the services that we offer. If you know what you want to be able to do, but you have no idea what course to start with in Planet David, call us. We will give you the least amount of courses to take, where to start, where to go next, and where to go next. That is a service that we provide. But you got to know what you want. And then you give us a call and we will make recommendations. And then it's up to you to choose whatever program or set of programs meets your needs. That's our job. Okay. As much as I would love you to buy every single thing in the catalog, we're always adding new stuff to the catalog. We want to map for you the shortest distance between where you are and where you want to be. The question was asked, do I do any of Richard Bandler's identity by design stuff? Or not, design human engineering. There are things that I do and things that I teach that have elements of Richard's design human engineering in it, but I've never actually taken that course from him. So I can't actually answer that question 100% ethically. I know the basic premise. And from that perspective, yes, there are some things that are very, very parallel to Richard's design human engineering course, but our stuff is is sourced from many different locations and many different resources. So that's the best answer I can give you. Okay. Does that help? Okay. So let me go back to this. All right. So if this is something you want to take advantage of, how to strengthen rapport after 3 magic questions. If you do 3 magic questions right, your rapport is going to be so strong, you're not going to be able to pry them away with a crowbar. That's exactly what 3 magic questions is designed to do. It's designed to create connection and rapport bordering on romantic love, in many cases in as little as 20 minutes, right? But it's extraordinarily powerful. Okay. Any other questions before we go back to the teaching segment of today's webinar? Go ahead and type your questions now. See if I missed any questions here. Hold on a second, I gotta make this a little bigger. All right, for any more questions about passwords and websites, I'm gonna refer you to Stephanie. We want to stay focused. Matt Hunchins, I have Killer Influence from a few years ago. Is the UK version worth getting, or is it worth getting Identity by Design? Matt, that really depends on what direction you want to go. Okay. As far as Identity by Design goes, Identity by Design is great if you plan on doing therapy or therapeutic interventions. Otherwise, and I like the Killer Influence UK version. It has it's 27 videos as opposed to 17, if I remember correctly. It was a 5-day Killer Influence training as opposed to a 4-day. And we covered a ton of attraction stuff in that course. So those of you who are worth it. They're both worth getting, but which one I recommend is basically based on the answer to your question. What is it that you want to achieve? If your goal is to be a hypnotherapist, coach, mentor, you want to go with Identity by Design. If your goal is persuasion, sales, influence, attraction, dating, marketing, then you want to go with the Killer Influence program, right? So you need to decide what your emphasis is going to be and then plug in the appropriate goal, okay? If you are any kind of coach and you don't have the Identity by Design techniques, you are dancing on one leg. These are some of the most powerful transformational methods that are actually really, really simple to deploy in any coaching context. So, hold on a second. There's a lot of, I see questions in the chat that are now coming up. Stephanie is a goddess. Yes, I agree. David, how do we get over the need for permission and initiate the engagement, be it in selling, flirting, conflict, or combat? All right, GD, I need to know what you mean by the need for permission. Are you talking about internal permission, permission for you to do these things and take action? Or are you talking about permission granted from another person? I don't know what the context is when you say the need for permission. So if you can ask me a better question, I can give you a better answer. And by the way, just FYI, obviously, there's a lot of questions in the chat, and because of the format that we're following, it's not always possible for me to answer every single question. If you have a burning question and I don't answer it, when this replay goes live on YouTube or wherever, if you go to the comments section for the replay of this video and you retype your question, I always go back and reread the comments. If you re-ask your question, I will do my best to actually give you an answer in written form below your question in the comment box. Okay, that's my promise. I always go back and read the comments. I always do. So if I don't, for some reason, I don't answer your question because we're on a schedule, just type it in the chat or type it in the comment section, and you will get an answer. Okay. Let's see here. All right. I think that's all we got for now. Okay. When I say act silly, I mean playful. I don't mean silly. So the whole idea is when you enter the interaction, you don't goof off. You just act very, very relaxed, very casual, very like go with the flow, right? Just allow yourself to, it's just water off a duck's back, right? But the more upbeat you are, the more good natured and good humored you are, even amongst these serious people, the more you're going to leverage their compliance, their willingness to capitulate to your asks. Okay. The worst thing you can do, sorry, I just had to throw something away. The worst thing you can do is buy into their seriousness, because that attempt to make you buy into their seriousness is an attempt to break your frame. It's an attempt to control you and influence you emotionally, and therefore your cognition. And they may consciously understand it, and they may not. Negotiations, professional negotiators, they push all kinds of emotional buttons to get people to look at to get that amygdala supercharged. So you really need to practice being laid back, easygoing, and just, if not playful, at least good natured and humorous and upbeat. Okay. Okay. So GD, if you have guilt about initiating an interaction, you need the identity by design techniques. Okay. That's exactly what you need. That's what identity by design, the identity by design system, those are the kind of things that it was designed for. Okay. For inner game. Okay. All right. You guys ready to play a little bit? Type yes if you're ready to play some more. Okay, cool. All right. So here's what's going to happen now. Now we're gonna kind of go around. A lot of the things that we talked about go back to criterion values. A lot of the things that we talked about go into 3 magic questions. One of the fundamental building blocks, and Limitless Lucario is asking, where do I start if I want to learn auto-hypnosis? Identity by design. And you'll also get, identity by design. That's where you start, okay? So both of these techniques, if you were to actually diagram how this looks in terms of a flow chart, let me see, I'll use the whiteboard feature, right? So, so you have criterion values, you have 3 magic questions, you have the resistance removal protocol, right? How many of you were on last week where I taught these, right? This is how it all comes together, okay? So you've got these 3 distinct areas, right? The emotional bonding checklist allows you to connect whatever somebody wants to whatever you offer. 3 magic questions allows you to take somebody from stranger to intimate connection in as little as 20 minutes. Resistance removal formula allows you to make somebody want to do the things they just said they didn't want to do. Right? So you have 3 techniques here. Does everybody see this okay? What do all these things have in common? They all begin with the same technique. That technique is the echo technique. What is the echo technique? The echo technique is to use a person's exact words as a delivery mechanism and a jumping off point to control the conversation. How do you use the echo technique? Repeat a person's exact words. That's exactly what you do. For the purposes of this training, are you guys all with? You guys all see the screen I'm using right here? I need to look at the chat and make sure people are getting this. Okay, good. So, one second. Okay, this won't let me. It's okay. Selector. Here we go. So, if you look at how all this kind of works together, you can use the echo technique to enter and work within each of these. But you can also use the echo technique to transition from one to the other seamlessly. Does that make sense? Why do we use the echo technique? Why is this so important? Once again, here's going to jump back to our, no, I don't want to do PowerPoint, sorry. That's not what I want. Here we go. Okay. Here's why we need to use the echo technique. This is what we need to understand. This is especially important for you, you newcomers and first timers. For a lot of the not so new people, this is again review, but it's review that needs to happen. Okay. Did I got that? Did I? Okay, here we go. Okay. The echo technique is the single most important neurological technique that we teach because it allows you to do every other thing that we've just talked about better. This is how you maximize people's attentions in minimum time. Okay. When a person gets their very own words coming back to them, their neurology literally orients on the source of those words. Let me explain this. Human beings, we talked about, somebody asked about this earlier. There's this concept I teach in the old identity by design systems called the acceptance, rejection, projection, connection. What that means is we create a self-concept. And that self-concept is a bunch of conclusions that we reach about ourselves and the world about us through an incalculable number of filters and processes. But what happens is when we finally come to that conclusion about the way the world is, who I am in the world, what's right and wrong in my world, I have this little internal image of what that looks like. And part of me actually looks at that representation of the way the world is supposed to be, not the way the world is, the way the world's supposed to be, and I make judgments about it. And what happens is simultaneously, just like shining the act of looking at yourself inside shines a light on that image that you've made, and it reflects outside of you. And what I mean by that is you will start to project that internal image you have of yourself and the way the world is supposed to be onto everyone around you, right? When you, and what's going on literally with human beings is that human beings are moving through the world looking for the closest match to the person they see inside themselves, subconsciously. They're listening for the person who speaks closest to the way that person speaks inside themselves. Everything about them is oriented to finding the match. And basically what your neurology is literally doing every moment of every day, it's just like a radar. You know how radars work, right? They send out a little sound wave or a little electromagnetic wave. It hits something, it bounces back, and then that bounce back is interpreted by the machine. Well, human beings have this kinesthetic, visual kinesthetic pinging that they're doing. And what they're doing is they're sending out messages. And when the reflection comes back, the more it matches that internal checklist that that person's created, the faster and deeper into rapport and attraction they fall. So one of the fastest ways that you can, and the moment that happens, it's autonomic. It's just something your neurology, the moment it checks off a box, your nervous system's scanning, and then all of a sudden it gets a ping that matches it, and then it starts to focus. And it orients on the source of the sameness to the degree that it matches the internal checklist, right? This is where your criterion values come in. This is where your 3 magic questions come in. This is where resistance removal comes in, where it's most telling, the bridge that allows you to go from you to the other person in a way that forces them to neurologically pay attention to you and to fall deeper and deeper into rapport and connection and want to tell you more stuff. The simple, most powerful way to do that is to echo the exact words that come out of their mouth in the order and sequence they came out. It is a perfect key to lock fit between that person's internal image and internal checklists and you. Okay? This is live. Yes, this is live. Okay? So when we go back and we look at, oh, I think that erased, didn't it? Nope. Okay. All right. So the echo technique is where we start. All right. So let's look at some of the reasons why we do this. Because it's going to be, normally I don't spend as much time on the echo technique, because if you've watched any of our videos on YouTube, we cover this a lot. You see me do this a lot. But it's really, really important. It's really, really important when we start doing 3 magic questions. The echo technique is by far the most powerful way to communicate with another human being. When you use it, it literally forces a person's neurology to pay attention to you, many times to the exclusion of everything else. How many of you have ever had this experience? You're at a party, it's very noisy, you're talking to somebody, or maybe you're off in the corner, and somebody mentions your name from across the room, and you turn around and you look at that person, even though they're not even talking to you. You ever had that experience? Yes or no? If you haven't, it's okay. But how many of you ever had that experience? Okay. The reason that happened is that you have 2 levels of attention that your neurology pays. You have the conscious attention, and then you have the unconscious attention. Your neurology is always unconsciously scanning for everything in the environment that's related to you. It may not do it within your conscious awareness, but when it senses something that's important to you at the unconscious level, many times it will give you a ping at the conscious level. When you deliberately start using the echo technique, you hack that deeper level of awareness. It causes a person's neurology to literally orient on you to the exclusion of everything else, because what's coming in is such a perfect fit to the context, the environment, and all the internal neurological, mental, and emotional associations connected to those words. It's perfect. The entire neurology lights up like a Christmas tree. Okay? Okay. How to eliminate it. One of the best things about the echo technique. How many of you guys here hate small talk? Right? Or always worried about what to say or whatever. When you start to use the echo technique on another human being, they will start to run off at the mouth. Your problem won't be figuring out what to say. It'll be getting the other person to shut up long enough so you can say it. But the best part is, you don't want them to shut up, because one of the things that the echo technique does is it neurologically primes the receiver, the person hearing their words coming back to them, to want to talk more. They feel so heard, so connected, so understood by you that they want to share more with you. and they're loving it. And what happens is they just start running off at the mouth. And here's the best part about this, folks. The longer they talk, the more connected, trusting, and attracted to you they tend to become. Okay. Bernardine says, I've been trying to use the echo technique, but it feels like it doesn't make sense, like it's out of context for me to repeat their words. You may not be delivering it congruently, and you may be actually assigning the wrong meaning to what you're doing. We'll talk about that in a minute, just to make it more relevant. Okay. So this sends very powerful signals of sameness to the person. And this is one of the things when it comes to attraction, we have to walk the tightrope of being different enough to be interesting, but same enough to be comfortable and trustable. Okay. And that's one of the things that the 3 magic questions, which has the echo technique embedded in it, is going to do for you. Okay. So again, one of the things that we learned, I first learned about this concept in my attraction, in my pickup artist days. And there was this concept we call validation. Validation is that feeling of being approved of being acceptable in somebody's world or acceptable to another human being. One of the things that happens when a person gets their very own language coming back to them is it signals that the person that's giving them their words back has paid attention at a level that most people don't normally get paid attention to, and they're desperate for it. The other thing it does is it signals acceptance of those words by the other person. In other words, when they feel their words coming back to them, it sends a message of, I've heard you and I approve of you. It triggers validation feelings in the mind of the listener, the person receiving their words back to them, in such a way that they feel that you've granted them your approval. And once they have that type of approval, that kind of connection, they bond with you and they don't want to give it up. So think of the echo technique as the glue that cements all of the things you're doing to you, emotionally speaking, right? And you can do this at a very superficial level. You can do it at a very deep level. One of the most powerful cross-contextual techniques that we can use for language, rapport, and emotional bonding is the echo technique. Okay. Again, in fact, if you look at last week's webinar, Chris Stombaugh was on. He said we practically did a graduate level course on the echo technique. We're not gonna do that here, but we're gonna cover it enough that you know what it is, how I want you to train it, and why it's so important in the big picture, because it allows us to bridge and transition from all those different other conversational frameworks that we're using. Does this make sense so far? Wistunder is asking what subjects work best with the echo technique. Pretty much any of them. Okay. Yeah. The best thing you can do is just start by asking a question, signaling acknowledgement, repeating their words, and asking another question. Echo technique literally is endless if you understand it. It doesn't seem like that when you're just learning it. It seems this is all I can say. This is the only way I can say it. Last week, I did a complete breakdown of all the different ways you can use the echo technique in normal organic conversations, both for verbatim and with changes in the paralanguage. Do you phrase it like a question? You absolutely can phrase it like a question. You can also phrase it like a statement, right? Right. Okay. What are the 3 magic? Well, I'm glad you asked. What are the 3 magic questions? All right. Let's go back to this. All right. So let's look at the 3MQ. 3 magic questions is how to make people like, love, and trust you in as little as 20 minutes. The 3 magic questions is a code for 3 categories of question. Okay? It's a conversational framework that allows two people who are strangers to rapidly generate pleasurable, stimulating conversations that trigger deeper levels of emotional attraction, trust, and bonding. Okay? Here's how I would organize this. I would say for most people, this should be your priority. This should be the next piece, because for attraction, you may, if you use the traditional straight 3 magic questions process, there's a high probability that you'll generate attraction. High probability. But if you want to make certain that you generate attraction, you have to modify your report technique just a little bit to something we call vibing, which we cover in our Rapid Attraction Secrets program, Killer Influence, and Rapid Attraction Secrets, Killer Influence, and I think we cover it in CPI as well. So, but by and large, if you just follow the process we're giving you, you'll be good. You'll be in the good enough category. So if we want to trigger trust and bonding, and then ultimately attraction, they'll do it. 3 magic questions, each category of the questions stimulates a more primal, deeper level in the subject's mind. So the 3 magic questions is a way of going from a very superficial level of interaction, complete stranger, to a very deep, intimate level of interaction in as little as 20 minutes. Now, I wouldn't rush to get through the 20-minute window. I would take as much time as is pleasurable for you to do it, because if you're having a good time, chances are the other person is too. But it does create intense bonding and self-disclosure. One of the reasons that it creates intense bonding and self-disclosure is because embedded within this process is the echo technique. And you'll remember that we told you the echo technique stimulates self-disclosure. So some guidelines that we want to follow when we're doing 3 magic questions. And by the way, the 3 levels, let me slide this over here. The 3 levels for 3 magic questions is location, occasion, that's level 1. And it's going to be career, play, and passion. That's level 2. And then finally, early positive childhood experiences. We call that level 3. Okay. So again, if you want to know what the categories of question are, level 1, location, occasion. These are questions about the venue you're at or the reason you're there. Okay. So venue, reason. Career, level 2, career, play, and passion. These are questions about what people do for a living, what they love to play at, what they're passionate about. Okay. And then early positive childhood experiences. These are some of the most powerful memories that you can access. You never use level 3 questions until they have passed all the tests in level 1 and 2. So what do I mean by tests? 3 magic questions. First of all, I did not create the 3 magic questions concept. I adapted the 3 magic questions from a book a book called Love Trances by a man named Craig Ravinsky. And I'd seen many various forms of this particular template before. He had the cleanest, most user-friendly approach. I highly recommend you grab that book, Support Craig. It's the only book he ever wrote. He's actually thrilled to death that we actually name him as a source. But 3 Magic Questions was originally designed as a conversational hypnosis framework designed for women to use on men for the specific purpose of doing two things at the same time. The first was to generate attraction in the other person. The second part was to generate an evaluation to cause this person to give you information that would allow the female utilizing 3MQ to determine if this person was a good potential mate or not in as little as 20 minutes. So it's actually doing two things at the same time. It's simultaneously generating attraction in the recipient, and it's generating enhanced self-disclosure, chemistry, connection, and bonding. So this person literally will give up more and more and more information about themselves that allows you, as the person administering the questions, to test and decide if this person is acceptable and matches your values or not. Does that make sense? So one of the things that you have to be doing in 3 Magic Questions, write this down, always be testing. Every answer that comes out of the person's mouth is something that you must echo, analyze, and repeat back to them, and then guide the conversation from within. But the reason that you must remember and analyze is because everything they say is going to allow you to build an internal profile of this person to compare with what you want in a partner, what you want in a relationship, whether that's an intimate relationship, a business relationship, a long distance or whatever. If you just want a friend, you can do that. It doesn't matter. But the thing that has to happen is you have to have good state control, and you have to always remember that when you're utilizing 3 Magic Questions, you are always in the psychological position of evaluating their answers and then reusing them. And for the purpose of making a determination, do I keep them or not? Where in my world does this person fit, if they fit at all? And then you have to have the resolution, the state control, to set those boundaries and maintain them. Are you following? And again, there's a reason why I'm talking about all this non-technical stuff first. Because if you just start applying 3 Magic Questions willy-nilly, you will become a victim of the attraction you generate. Because this will affect you very powerfully too. So you have to be in control of yourself. You must know what you want, what you will not accept, where your boundaries are, and you must maintain them. One of the ways that you can do that is by always be evaluating, always be testing. Okay? Always be evaluating, always be testing. Okay? Let's see here. So let's talk about level 1 questions. A couple of guidelines. Whenever you begin the 3 Magic Questions protocol, here's the first thing. Again, everything I'm telling you now presupposes what you already got your state control down, you have your outcome set, all that good stuff. You know how to use your echo technique. Whenever you begin the 3 Magic Questions protocol, you always stick to open-ended questions. These are questions that have that force the person to give you an explanation, an opinion, or to tell you a story. Okay? You understand that? If you ask a question that can be answered with a yes or no, you're not doing 3 Magic Questions, because there's no place to go from that answer. You have to always, always, always ask open-ended questions. So one of the very common approaches back in the pickup and seduction days was what we call an opinion opener, where they would walk up to somebody and say, hey, I just saw you over here. I just have a quick question. My friend and I are having an argument. Which do you think is sexier, boxers or briefs? Right? And I'm curious as to why that is, right? Again, we're not going to do that. When we start asking open-ended questions, we're going to start to ask questions about the venue that you're at or the reason you're there. So one of the things that might happen, I might walk up to somebody at a bar and I might say, hey, curious about something real quick. What are the drink specials? Right? Now this person's going to start talking to me about what the drink specials are, right? And now I can begin to repeat back what they said. I can ask more questions. and I can start to create a very superficial interaction. And that is exactly what your level 1 questions are designed to do. Can you guys see my, okay, I want to make sure you guys can see everything. All right, level 1 questions are about the venue or the reason that they're there, and they're designed to do one very specific thing. They're designed to open the interaction. They're designed in a very safe, non-invasive, non-creepy way to get a person out of their head and into the world, looking at you. So let me show you this on the whiteboard screen really quickly. At any given moment, people can be in one of 4 brainwave or brain states. They can be internally focused. They can be externally focused. So they can be in their own head, or they can be outside observing the world. They can be associated, or they can be dissociated. Now, best way to understand associated versus dissociated is if you've ever played a video game. Anybody here ever play a video game? Or at least know what a video game is? Yes or yes? Okay, so you know that when you play a video game, you have perspectives or points of view, right? You have first person, second person. So if you're playing a first person shooter, like if you're running through a war game, like you're seeing down the gun barrel as if you're looking at it through your own eyes, right? Well, neurologically, the more associated you are into something, the more intensely you feel it. The more you identify and embody as it. The more dissociated you are, the more emotional distance you have. The less you feel, the less things can interact with you. Most human beings at any given moment are moving through the world in a state of internal dissociation. In other words, they're in their heads, they're making pictures, laundry lists, they're doing everything but being present externally in the moment with you, right? The goal of level 1 questions, again, write this down. The goal of level 1 questions is to shift that person's mental state from internal to external, from dissociated to associated. So literally it makes them completely present and oriented on you. And it does it in a very casual, conversational, non-creepy, hey, I'm hitting on you kind of way. And the way you do that is you simply say, pardon me, I'm curious about something. All right, what do you think of the band? Or if you're at a wedding reception, what do you think of those centerpieces? Right? These are very simple, very innocuous. Oh, by the way, hey, let me ask you your opinion on something real quick. Do you think the brown is better or the black? Right? Are you here with your friends or did you come by yourself? What brought you out tonight? These are all very, very simple, very, very basic, superficial questions that people will usually have very little reticence to answer because they're not threatening. They're not asking for any really personal, deep, or private information. But what it does is it gives you an excuse to interact. It gives you a bridge that allows you to begin to go through the conversational template and prime them for deeper level responses. Okay, there's some stuff going on in the YouTube chat. I'm not sure what that's about, but are you guys with me so far? So level 1 question, location, occasion, open-ended questions. Okay, now let's look at something that's very, very important in terms of how we deploy this. So the moment I want to talk for a moment about softeners. Softeners are conversational lubricators. Here's what I mean by that. If I walk up to somebody and I say, hey, I was wondering, what do you find most fascinating about what you do? Okay, they may or may not answer me, right? But if I go up to somebody and I say, hey, I'm curious about something, you mind if I hope I'm not bothering you. I'm curious about something. How did you decide to become XYZ? Or I was wondering, what do you find most fascinating about what you do? Right? Do you notice how when you put the I'm wondering, or let me ask you this, or the just so I understand you better qualifier in front of the question, it makes it soft and conversational? This is something that we always want to be doing. This is also one of the reasons why a lot of highly trained people in neurolinguistics fail. Because one of the reasons that they fail is because NLP is extremely powerful. And what do I mean by that? When you deploy a lot of the conversational techniques in NLP on other people, they have a dramatic effect on them. And even though the person doesn't know what you did, they know you did something. And so it makes them very reactant. When you apply softeners, which are like pre-frames, they're kind of like, here's why I'm about to ask you or tell you what I'm about to ask you or tell you. It's kind of what the phenomena of a softener is. So these are some examples. I would write these down. Let me ask you this. So I'm curious. I was wondering. Just so I understand you better. Okay. If you lead every question with one of these statements or a statement like it, the conversation, there will be a lot less resistance to the question. Right? If you see people starting to get defensive, many times it's because you've asked a question that's very direct without softening. You always need to be softening what you do. Does that make sense? One of the reasons that my stuff comes across very fluid, very organic, is I spend a huge amount of time softening what I do. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. So when in doubt, soften. You're never going to go wrong softening. In fact, you can actually compound soften and make things even more powerful. Okay. Hold on a second. I'm trying to figure out. I'm starting to move all my screens around, so I'm getting lost half the time. All right. Going back to this. How to compound soften. Jeff is asking, how do I compound soften? It's very simple. Jeff, if I were going to ask somebody a question, like a level 1 question, I might go up to him and pull a Columbo. So I was wondering something. Let me ask you this. I was wondering, what do you find most fascinating about what you do? Right? Or, so I'm curious, just so I understand you better, what's important to you about this job for you? The softeners again. Let me ask you this. So I'm curious. I was wondering. Just so I understand you better. These are just examples. You can make up a laundry list of these things. Okay? This is one of the real secrets behind making good NLP work. Someone who's really, really good at softening can deliver some of the most powerful and even invasive types of techniques and be very conversational, very fluid, very organic sounding. Okay. So the way that you maximize this is you make a list of them. I would start with no more than 7. I would probably try to keep them around, make your list around 3 to 5. Because if it's at right around 3 to 5, you'll probably be able to remember them all by rote. Okay. Here's one of the problems that you're going to run into, and this is a state control problem. Remember, everything that you're deploying here with 3 magic questions falls within the universal persuasion protocol. Know your outcome, control your state, get rapport, use your language, manage their state, jump into their process, emotionally bond to their criteria and values. One of the first things that happens when people lose control of their state, when they get stressed out, one of the very first things that happens linguistically is they stop softening. They lose the softeners. Okay, so you can almost always tell who's being socially stressed by the lack of softeners in their language. So Jeff is asking, would you start by asking one, then listen and interact so you don't get busted? Yeah, you could. Yeah, absolutely. Remember, 3 magic question is not an interrogation. It's a conversation, right? But if it's deployed properly, it's a conversation where 75 to 80% of the talking is being done by your subject, by the target of your influence. And the more they talk, the more connected and attracted to you they become. Okay? But it doesn't mean it's a one-way street. There has to be a conversation flowing, which means you do have to respond. You do have to talk and say things other than their very own words. But 80% of what you say should be as close to their own words as possible. I've never given out the ratios before, but this is important. Echo technique is your primary delivery mechanism. 80% of the things you say should be something that's come out of their mouth or is very close to what has come out of their mouth. But 25% to 30% of that conversation should be your stuff too, but it should be delivered in their words when possible. Does that make sense? I'll see if I can do a quick mono demo once we get the whole idea down. Or maybe what we'll do is, I can't do that. I would say if you were all on Zoom, I would just break you out into groups and let you practice this, but that ain't going to happen. So, okay. But are you guys with me so far? Okay, perfect. All right, so let's look at level 2 questions. Or level 1. Okay, so again, here are your softeners, right? So when I say soften, now you understand what I mean, right? Okay, so let's look at this. This is called the Master Echo Technique Formula. This is literally what you do through the entire 3MQ process. You ask a question, you echo what they said, you validate it. What do we mean when I say validate? If we want to signal validation, let me just put this over here real quick. Signaling validation or validating something equals signaling acceptance or approval. Okay? So in other words, when we validate somebody in some verbal or nonverbal way, usually verbal, but you can do it non-verbally, we signal that what they said, A, that we heard it, and B, that we agree or accept as true what they've said. We don't just acknowledge them, that's part of it. We acknowledge that we've heard them, but we do it in such a way that they feel like we've approved of what they said, like we're in harmony with it. Does that make sense? Okay. So someone might say, at level 2 questions, I might ask a question. So I'm curious, what do you do for a living? The person says, I'm an accountant. You say, oh man, you're an accountant? That's amazing. You know, I've known a lot of people, but I've never actually talked to someone in accounting. And I got to be honest, in school, I was really bad at math. So the idea of becoming an accountant never really occurred to me. So I always wondered, how does someone actually decide to become an accountant? Was it something that you woke up one day and say, hey, I want to play with numbers all day? Or, was it someone in your family that inspired you? So I'm curious, how did you decide to become an accountant? Right? Now, if you pay attention to the beginning of what I said, I asked a question, the person answered, I'm an accountant. Oh, you're an accountant. I echoed the accountant back to them. I said, oh my God, that's so cool. I signal that I've heard them, that what they've said is okay in my world, I echo that word again, and then I ask my next question. Right? Do you see the sequence? And I pay attention to their responses. Are you getting the master sequence down? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Okay. By the way, some of you saw the killerinfluence.com/go out there. That's somebody reminding me that I need to tell you that we're going to be ending the webinar really soon, and all the bonuses are going to go away. So just as a reminder, really quick, for those of you who are still on the fence about this, for those of you who want to get involved today, you're going to get the Secrets of Human Influence home study course. It's a 17-video course that teaches you the 7 stages Universal Persuasion Protocol. And $2,079 value. It's going to give you the Killer Influence Master Text, the NLP Power Online Mentoring Program with 210 active members. It's priceless. We're going to give you that Weapons of Mass Instruction, Neuroscientific Storytelling Secrets, valued at $1,950. Absolutely free. We're going to give you the Renegade Reframing, Objection Obliteration, and Speed Conversational Hypnosis Training and Belief Change, $1,950, absolutely free. Finally, we're going to give you the Charisma on Command, $1,950 value, absolutely free. You're also going to get those fast action bonuses. Stealth Instant Conversational Hypnosis Crash Course, $997 value. You're going to get the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Group is a $594 value. You're going to get that free VIP Super Ticket, gives you free access to any single live event, $1,950 value. Total combined value is $11,888. You can grab it today for one low installment of just $997, or if you need a little bit of extra help, you can break it down into 3 easy payments of just $397. And all you got to do to grab that is go ahead and click that link in the chat. It's www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. I'm not sure if we even have any of those 15 slots left for the VIP ticket, but I just wanted to make sure that nobody lost out if you were still on the fence. Remember that it's all 100% money back guarantee. Try it for a full 90 days. If you're not satisfied, right, we'll give it to you. So there's a couple of slots left, I'm told. So that doesn't bode well for those of you on the fence. So again, so this is the sequence that I want you to really practice in. If there were a formula for using the echo technique that I want you to follow, is you ask your question, you echo what they say, you validate it, and then you ask your next question. Okay, here it is. So please take a screenshot of this. If you memorize this sequence, then everything you do when you deploy the echo technique will come out well. Okay. Now let's go back to level 2 questions, and this is where the rubber kind of hits the road in terms of the 3 magic questions. Remember that the only reason to do level 1 is to get to level 2. The purpose behind level 1 questions is to get people out of their head. Once again, is to move people from internal dissociated to external associated, right? Once we have that, now we've effectively gone to level 2 questions. Level 2 questions are always about career, pleasures, or passions. You can also put play in there if you want to think about it. You're going to ask an open-ended question that has something to do with their career, something to do with something they're passionate about, or something they do for pleasure. Now, why is this important? Because in most countries, in most societies, you are what you do. Now, let me explain this to you. You have levels of beliefs, right? You remember we talked about the criterion values, the emotional bonding checklist? You guys remember when I talked to you about that? Yes or yes? Type it in. Okay. The reason that the emotional bonding checklist works is because it taps into the emotional foundations of a person's identity. In other words, for every context you're in, the human being has a checklist for what constitutes the way it's supposed to be. That level of information is held at a very deep level of the human psyche. When you start asking questions about a person's job, what they do for a living, you are asking questions about the building blocks of their sense of personal identity. They can't talk about these things without going deeper into rapport, feeling immense pleasure, and they want to spout. They're talking about their favorite topic. So everything that comes out of their mouth is activating a very, very deep level of their identity. And because it's in a pleasurable context and they're looking at you while those things are coming out, all of those things automatically get linked to you. The same thing happens when you do the emotional bonding checklist. Just the act of asking a person, what's important about? What's that going to do for you? What's important about that? Causes them to link all of those feelings to you. Now, you can add amplifiers to it. You can do gestures. You can use certain linguistic techniques to magnify that bond, but you don't need to. Just the fact that you're within eyeshot, line of sight of this person, or within the sound of their voice, is going to cause them to link these positive feelings to you. When you start giving them their very own words back to them, you start magnifying, multiplying, and amplifying that sense of connection. Okay? It's just going to happen. And they're going to keep talking. They're going to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And what they won't realize, this is the important piece, what they're never going to realize in most cases is that they're giving you more and more information about the kind of person they really are below the surface. So if you know what to listen for, not only will you be stimulating this person and attracting them, causing them to like and love and trust you more and more and more, you'll also be getting information that tells you and allows you to begin to create a profile of the person's worldview, what their belief system is, and you'll be able to compare who they are inside to who you are inside and determine if there's a match. That's the biggest piece. That's the most important part of 3 magic questions. The rubber hits the road at level 2. Because if they match the only time you go to level 3 in your questions is if they've passed all your tests. Do you understand? If they don't pass your tests, if it's not an 80 to 100% match, 80 is minimum. But I wouldn't go to level 3 unless they were in the high 90s. Okay? Then you go to level 3. Now, the question is asked, why? Because level 3 is where you take the bonding you've created at level 2 and you install it at the deepest, most fundamental, foundational level of their psyche. Okay? And I'll explain how that's done in a moment. When you create that level of bond with another human being, you're not going to get rid of them. Do you understand that? If you create this level of connection with another human being and they have any character quirks, any kind of traits that kind of set you off, have any kind of neuroses or psychoses or whatever, you now have a stalker on your hands. Okay? So you never, and people have tested this and wound up regretting it. Okay? I can't tell you how to use this. I can only suggest. For most relationships, it is never necessary to go beyond level 2. But if you are certain at a deep level that you want this person to be a permanent, intimate part of your life forever, or as close to forever as you're willing to get, now you transition to level 3. Okay? So Janice is asking, will this start to counteract gossip? You're going to have to elaborate on that. Brenna was asking, why is that? Why is what specifically? Okay. So this is why they are emailing me at 3 a.m. and upset when I don't answer. Yes, because you didn't vet them properly and you hit them with the mother load. You went nuclear on them, right? Now, level 3 is used for more for coaching and it can be. I've used it, but it was actually designed for attraction. Turns out, and this is a funny story. I taught 3 magic questions almost exclusively in the context of attracting people for close to a decade, I think it was. And then one day back, I think it was 2014, I was teaching a killer influence class. And in the back of the room were a bunch of guys with suits and ties on, and they were taking like tons and tons of notes on the 3 magic questions. Turns out they were all personal injury attorneys. And they were here to learn how to use this stuff to win more cases. And so about 2 or 3 weeks after the training, I start getting these emails about how they've been using 3 magic questions on jury panels, on hostile judges, on while they're deposing expert witnesses and things of that nature. And they're getting these huge, huge bonds with these people who are literally waiving their attorney-client privilege to answer my students' questions, right? And I'm like, what? And I started talking to somebody. I said, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And they're literally taking the verbatim 3 magic questions protocol. This was back then. They've modified it a lot since then, but that's where they started. And they just used it with every single member of the jury panel. And every single member of the jury panel fell in love with them. And because they really liked the lawyer, by proxy, they liked the client. Because the lawyer was the representative of the client. So these guys would wind up winning the case before the case even went to court because the jury was in love with them, right? But I never in a million years thought that of using it outside of romance, right? Now we use it for everything. Okay? But we didn't know we could do that. But like so many things that came from the seduction community, you can take that, transplant it to a less controversial application and get huge changes in the relationships that you're creating. So for most people, who they are is equivalent to what they do, right? But sometimes you're going to talk to somebody whose life ambition may not be to serve you coffee or wait on your table, right? And in that case, it's not always the best idea to talk about career. It may be better to talk about something that they're passionate about or something they do for pleasure. Because again, the minute you start asking about what they're passionate about, they start feeling passion. Who are they looking at when those passions come up? They're looking at you. Who gets linked to those passions? Right? You do. It just happens that way, right? Pleasure. They're talking about the things that give them pleasure that they can't wait to go out and do. When they start reliving those events inside their mind, who are they looking at? Guess who that gets linked to, right? So it's the same process, different topic. Okay. Are you guys with me so far? Is this useful? So this is level 1 of the 3 magic. I mean, not level 1, but this is like the first degree of mastery of 3 magic questions. There's deeper levels, but for most of you, especially the newer people, if you can't get the basic skeleton of what we're doing, you won't get the nuances. And the skeleton of what we're doing is good enough for you to go out and start playing. Okay. So we talked about level 1. Location, occasion. We talked about level 2, career, pleasure, passion. We talked about the master echo algorithm, which is you ask your question, you echo, you validate, you echo, you ask again, you pay attention to the responses. Guess what you do then? You echo, you validate, you echo, you acknowledge, you ask again. Wash, rinse, repeat. You just cycle through it, right? Questions on what we've covered so far. When do we go to level 2 questions? Type in the chat. When do we go to level 2 questions? and they've passed all the tests for level 1. Okay. When do we go to level 3 questions? When they pass your tests. Remember, this is important. I can't stress this enough. Ladies especially. Ladies, this is designed to protect you from investing 6 to 8 weeks in a relationship that's destined to go nowhere, to have you avoid 6 weeks of crash dieting, buying new wardrobes, hairdressers, all that shit, to somebody for a relationship that's not going to go anywhere. Okay? Break away from this pattern at your own peril. Break away from this pattern at your own peril. Because one of the things that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to give someone a chance. This is going to happen. Okay, I guarantee dollars to donuts this is going to happen, especially for the ladies. You're going to get on a first date interaction with somebody, and you're going to see in them potential. And you're going to say, well, it's not a 100% match to what I want, but they have potential. So I'll give them a shot. No. Your job is not to date people with potential. Your job is to sort for the people who are actualizing their potential. Do you understand that? That's why you have to keep testing. If they're not passing your tests, they don't deserve to go any further. And guys, same thing. Guys, if she's really hot, you have a tendency to give her a pass on the crazy. Okay? Don't do that. Okay? Because crazy and attractive tend to go hand in hand, right? If you start to see all these red flags coming up, and I'll give you some examples in a minute, but I want to make sure you have the basic structure down first. If the red flags start showing up at level 2, hell no on level 3. Okay? 3, John McElwain is saying 3 is kind of like forever. Yeah, in many cases. Right? Oftentimes they do, right? People make jokes about it. But again, here's the ugly truth about attraction. We teach this in Killer Influence. When you get your package, this is one of the first things we're going to teach you under the four pillars. Attractive people get more stuff. They get passes on just about everything. So one of the first things you as an influencer have to do is you have to learn how to maximize attraction. But attraction comes in 2 basic categories. There's physical attraction, and then there's emotional attraction. You can modify both. And you have to create that attractive persona based on the environment that you're going to be working in. And we'll teach you how to do that in Killer Influence. You don't have to worry about it here. But 3 magic questions is going to be an important piece of your persuasion protocol. I'm not saying don't fall for other people's attractiveness. I'm saying put it in perspective. Okay? Remember that people will often do the unexpected. Right? You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Most of us have, at some point in our lives, been dating the same person over and over and over again with a different face. There's a template that we have, and many times they look different, but they act the same. 3 magic questions gives us the ability to do 2 things very, very succinctly, very, very effectively and efficiently. It allows us to stimulate attraction and get to know a person very, 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 very well, often better than their best friends know them, while stimulating attraction and get with the added benefit that we now have a checklist that lets us know if this is somebody we want to be part of our lives or we need to like eject them as soon as is humanly possible to do so. It's also a way to be it's also a way to build very, very profound, very, very long lasting relationships cross-contextually. So let's go on the assumption now that you've made your approach, which we'll teach you at Attraction Mastery in February. For those of you who are coming to Attraction Mastery, one of the first things we're going to teach the men is how to approach. One of the first things we're going to teach the women is how to teach approachability or how to signal approachability. Okay, so you've approached, you've easily transitioned from level 1 to level 2. You're still effectively at the non-threatening small talk phase. And you start asking them questions. They're giving you answers that are in harmony with what you're looking for in a partner. You're getting the all clear signal. And you decide you want to transition to level 3. Here's how you transition to level 3 and what level 3 is about. Level 3 is all about having the subject, the target of your influence, access early positive childhood experiences. Early positive childhood experiences. Now, why? The most powerful memories that every human being has are the memories that were formed first between 0, which is conception, and 5 years old. The next most powerful set of memories are the memories that took place from 6 to about 10 or 11 years old. Third set from 11 to about 15. You're starting to see what I'm saying here. Now, when I say powerful, what I mean by that is the templates of our personality, the building blocks of our values, and all the things that we love are created in us from 0 to about 15 years old, with the majority of it happening 0 to 5. Okay? When you access somebody's earliest positive childhood events, you are having them literally go back through time to those moments, opening up the file that has the movie of those positive memories and having them relive those movies while they're looking at you. You guys follow me so far? Type in yes if you understand what I've thought I've said so far. Okay. Now, when we were at level 2 and we had people talking about the career and their passion, or when we were talking about criteria and values, what did we say happened when the person started talking about their criteria and values? What happened to it? Who did it get linked to? That's right. Now, what do you think happens when you start having people relive their earliest positive childhood experiences while they're looking at you? Just take a guess. That's right. All of those wonderful feelings get linked to you with an extra bonus. In hypnotherapy, trauma therapy, we have this phenomenon known as regression, right? How many of you have ever met somebody, and even though you only knew this person for a few minutes or an hour or a couple of hours or whatever, it felt like you knew this person your entire life, like you'd always been friends? You ever had that experience? Right? When you open up those memory containers and have them access those memories while they're talking to you, you not only link those feelings to you, you link the sensation of time known to you. In other words, if they're 25 years old, you're having them access a memory that happened when they were 5, they now feel as though they've known you since they were 5. Is that powerful? Would that be useful? To be able to generate that feeling in somebody. Genesis asks, can you break that bond? Not easily. Not easily. It can be broken, but not easily. That's why you got to be really, really careful who you choose to take to level 3. And they feel you, and Paul says they also feel that you completely understand them at that deepest level. Yes, 100%. Right? That's 3 magic questions, guys. Najee Benton says, I didn't believe it until I tried it. Poof, there it is. It works too good. Right? Right? Now that's the skeletal version. That's without all the other bells and whistles that we teach you in Killer Influence or CPI or Rapid Attraction Secrets. But it's good enough. It's good enough. Angelica asks, what happens if memories between 0 and 5 were not positive? Great question. And this once again goes back to sorting. If you're asking somebody about their earliest positive childhood memories, and the first thing out of their mouth is talking about how they were abused as children, how their father left them when she was 6, how Uncle Ted took him out back behind the barn to show him a special kind of wrestling, right? You asked them about early positive childhood experiences. They started vomiting their traumas and baggage all over you. What's the appropriate response? What's the appropriate response? Check, please. Yes. Yeah, because A, they didn't follow your instructions, did they? And they already feel connected enough to you to want to make you their therapist. That is not, in most contexts, why you're there, is it? Kate's asking, wouldn't that traumatize someone pretty badly to leave at that moment? Yes, if you were an asshole about it, right? So you don't do that. You finish the interaction after having made your decision about where you're going to place them, and then you keep them at whatever level of interaction or intimacy you think is appropriate, right? You don't just get up and walk out, although you could do that. That would be a real asshole thing to do. But you disentangle yourself from the interaction. This is important. I teach in Attraction Mastery. I'm going to teach this to the ladies on approaching skills. You do it in a way that preserves the person's self-esteem, that makes them, let them feel okay. You don't need to be an asshole to keep yourself from being pulled into a relationship that is going to slot you into a caregiver's role if that's not what you're signing up for. Hand them an email. Thank you for your time, right? There's lots of ways that you can extricate yourself from the interaction, either from that moment or at the end of the night, right? There's lots of ways to ghost people nicely, right? Or to say, hey, had a great time with you. It's just, I just don't feel like we're going in the same direction. It was wonderful to get to meet you. I hope you have a great life. Maybe I'll talk to you again sometime, right? So the idea here, once again, is you have to learn how to disentangle yourself from the interaction or disengage yourself from the interaction while preserving their self-esteem. It's a big deal. And it's mostly a problem for women because their socialization, most women, their socialization is such, is that there's a big gap between the subtleties that are obvious to the female, these mid-level disengagement techniques, and then the bitch mode. And so in Attraction Mastery in February, we'll be covering those techniques for ladies as well. Men and women both have problems when it comes to approaching one another, but they're different problems. And again, we'll talk about that. Cool. Thomas says, this is a great presentation. I've heard this stuff 10 times or more, but each time David does this, the new gems of knowledge come out as he stresses different sections. Yes. And one of the reasons is because the vibration of the audience that I get is different, and the aptitudes are different, the questions are different. And so the way I teach changes to fit the people. And I'll always be that way. It's even more so when you come to our live events. Okay. And you can't hear this enough, to be quite honest. I've been teaching this easily for 10 years, if not more. And it's still relevant, and it's still the most powerful approaching tools and conversational managing tools out there. And that's why I keep teaching it, because human beings don't change. The technology we use changes, but the way we process thought, the way we communicate, the patterns that govern our behavior, our emotions, our feelings, they don't change. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, if I can be so bold, with the current technology level and the way we're using technology today, these techniques are even more powerful than when I first learned and developed them. Because of how we use our technology and the illusion of intimacy and safety that they create, these techniques are actually far more powerful on the younger generations than they've ever been. Okay. So please, please, please use these techniques ethically. And when I mean ethically, what I mean is in harmony with your own sense of personal boundaries and ethics. It is very, very easy to deploy them. It's fun to use them. And you can get people to do a lot of stuff. But make sure you're doing it in a way that both of you come out feeling good about the process and that they've won. And you can have everything you life that you want just by helping other people get what they want. And when you're finally ready to take the plunge and get the whole system, I mean, I've given you, I mean, like I said, I showed you 2 or 3 nuclear powered pieces and you can see what you can do with it. But don't take my word for it. Take the techniques out into the world, use them with human beings, and watch the changes that you get. Okay. Naji says, it's true. I've used them on my peers. I'm 26. Very good. Okay. So just again, just to reiterate, we're coming towards the end of today. So once again, for those of you who've been on the fence, last I looked, we had a couple of those VIP tickets left, but they're going quick. We're offering you the Secrets of Human Influence home study course. It comes with the 17 video, 7-stage universal persuasion protocol. And I'll tell you what I'll do. Just to get those last slots filled, if anybody wants the 27 video Killer Influence UK version, I will happily let Stephanie know, and we will happily substitute out the Killer Influence UK, which has 27 videos as opposed to the 17 videos. And it's worth more than $2,779. You'll also get that Killer Influence Master Text, the NLP Power Online Community, which is priceless. You'll get the Weapons of Mass Instruction, Neuroscientific Storytelling Secrets, valued at $1,950. We're going to give that to you absolutely free. You'll get the Renegade Reframing Objection Mastery course, $1,950 value, also absolutely free. You'll get Charisma on Command, $1,950 value, absolutely free. Go ahead and ask your question, Ali Riza. You'll get the Stealth Fast Action bonuses, those of you who want to take action today before the end of the webinar. Stealth Instant Conversation Hypnosis Crash Course, valued at $997. You'll get the NLP Power Mastermind Mentoring Group and the Archive, valued at $594. And you'll also get that free VIP ticket to a live event of your choice, provided you qualify for it, valued at $1,950. Could be valued at more depending on which program you choose to come to. Total value for all of this today. And by the way, that VIP ticket goes away when I close the webinar. When the webinar goes away, the VIP ticket does too. So you may be able to get the other bonuses if you grab the course before 11:59 p.m. tonight. But that VIP ticket is off the table, effective immediately when I log off. And total value, if you're able to buy this on the website today, which a lot of these things you can't actually find on the website right now. Total value be $11,888. Yours for today for one low installment. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. Yours for one low installment of just $997. Or if you want, you can break that up into 3 easy installments of $397. And all you need to do to claim your package with that free live VIP ticket is go to www.killerinfluence.com/go. That's www.killerinfluence.com/go. Or you can just click the link in the chat and reach out to Stephanie if you have any questions. All right. So before we sign off, you guys have any other questions that I can answer for you today? Oh, big question here. Hold on a second. Kate asks, are there specific things included in the US version, not included in the UK version? Actually, the inverse is true. There are things included in the UK version that are not included in the US version. Okay. Sheila says, thank you very much. This was very informative. Sue McKellar says, you said you used the patterns to let go of what no longer worked in your life. How do we do that for ourselves? Created audio MP3s and visualizations? Yes, that is one way that you can do it. one way that you can do it. Thank you so much. It was great. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Thank you, David, for another awesome webinar. Thank you, Paul. Awesome to see you. How about any of us in our YouTube channel? Okay. Suma says, wow. Shan, are you coming to South Africa? Are you talking to me? All right. Well, listen, I hope everybody's had a good time. Remember, 2020 is coming to an end. With the start of 2021 comes the opportunity to recreate yourself, to make yourself your best version. Here's are the tools to do it. If you have any questions about any of the materials, you can reach out to me or reach out to Stephanie. We will answer your questions. We will coach you as best we can in person, over the phone. We will guide you. We will point you in the direction. We will support you in every single way that you need to be supported. This is the time to invest in yourself. Okay. I'm good at what I do, but I can't multiply zeros. If you don't show up, I can't help you. But if you show up, we can make magic together. Okay. I love you all. I hope you all have a very, very, very happy, joyous, safe, and healthy holiday and New Year's. I hope to see you all at a live event or at one of our hybrid events. If you have any questions, reach out to Stephanie at 858-282-4663. That's 858-282-4663. If the line is busy, leave a message. All right, leave a message and we will get back to you. Okay, I can't multiply zeros, that's right. But if you show up, that's at least one, and I can make something happen with that. All right, the webinar was flawless. Thank you, Agnes, that's wonderful. I hope you all had a good time. I love you all. I can't wait to see all of you on the other side. Good night. God bless. Click that link.